The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Standard Heating is having their 94-year celebration. They have special offers just for you this February. Whether you need a new furnace or a tune-up, they have something special for everyone. Visit standardheating.com to save today.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. 93X.
I want the whole world to see me destroy this man after 2 short rounds. Because after this fight, he's going to have to donate what's going to be left of his body to science, but there won't be much. That I can guarantee. Last time I took the fight too lightly, and this man was just plain lucky. But this time you all will see the real Apollo Creed, lightning fast and hard to catch. No playing, no jiving, just business.
All right. So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Dylan! You son of a bitch!
Back in 1965, Sports Illustrated said I was going to be the next Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, what happened?
Damn alligator bit my hand off.
Oh, my God!
Today is an incredibly sad day for me. I'm so torn up, I can't even tell you. Carl Weathers was such an integral part of my life, my success. When he walked into that room and I saw him for the first time, I saw greatness, but I didn't realize how great. He was magic, and I was so fortunate to be part of his life. Apollo, keep punching.
Showtime.
What a hell of a deal this is. A hell of a deal. Welcome to the 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. Everybody's here. I came in yesterday. There was nobody here.
Oh, no.
Whoops.
Dude. That's terrible.
I just turned around and I went back home.
Where is everybody? That's happened before. People have done that.
Yeah, I've done that.
We did not work yesterday. We had a day to ourselves, so today is our Monday. And we can't thank you enough for tuning us in proper. You're a terrific crowd. But can't help but mention the sadness that I feel deep down inside, being that this is our first live broadcast since the passing of Carl Weathers.
My wife cried when she heard the news.
Was it last Friday when the news hit?
I was so out of it this weekend.
Yeah, you were very sick.
It was Friday, yeah.
Was it Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Did it touched your old lady and she couldn't hold it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, she loved the Rocky movies. Predator is her favorite movie, believe it or not.
Her absolute favorite is Predator.
Yeah, she's weird. Although I love that movie too. But yeah, so I mean, you don't meet a lot of women when you say, "What's your favorite movie?" and they go, "Oh, Predator." But that's my wife's.
No, that is not common.
And so, I had to ask her, I'm like, what's I thought, of course, oh no, I screwed up. What happened? Did she see her bank account? What happened? Why is she crying?
Why are you sad?
And she mentioned Carl Weathers passed.
Yeah, I mean, a hero of mine, a hero of yours as well, Josh. He was 76 years old. One of the good guys, for sure. And it absolutely broke my heart to see the video that Josh just played us the audio from. The video, I saw it on the godless internet where Sylvester Stallone said goodbye to his longtime friend.
If he gets choked up, we get choked up.
Forget about it.
Yep.
Forget about it. If Sly is hurt, we're all hurt. I mean, I feel it. When Sly...
76.
It's friggin' Sly.
I know.
If he feels pain, we all feel pain.
And then Toby Keith passed away last night from stomach cancer.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's what people just started texting
are they texting in on that?
a little while ago. I had no idea. People started texting in, 20 minutes ago to let us know that Toby Keith has died.
He's been battling it for a couple years, and he passed away, only 62.
Yeah.
Oh, for Pete's sake. That's really sad.
Yeah, I've always loved Toby Keith. It's going to feel a little different playing him on the touch tunes at the bars now.
What do you crank up from Toby Keith on the touch tunes? Do you play Red Solo Cup?
That's the one, right?
No.
Oh, you don't?
That's the only one I don't play.
Oh, why? Too popular? Or?
No, I never really liked it that much.
What was that song where he's like, we're America, we'll put a fist up your ass? Right?
Right?
The red, white, and blue?
Yeah, something like that.
Every once in a while, someone will load that. I always like that one. Hey, you cross us and we'll put a shoe up your ass so fast you won't even, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, the classic go-to, I love this bar. We were just talking about it
I love this bar.
Before we went on air.
Did you ever go to the I Love This Bar and Grill?
No.
With Toby Keith?
Oh, yeah. we Wapple and I were just talking about it. We both agreed that we've done some things we're not proud of at that bar back when it was around.
Oh, yeah.
We got hookers and we got bankers. I know that one. I love this bar. Sure, I went to his joint over there. What was that, off Louisiana? Xerxes, whatever. Yeah, 394. I watched a Super Bowl over there. I did. I watched a Super Bowl.
That was a hot spot for a while.
Yeah, there were some chicks running in and out of that joint.
There was so many fly honeys there.
Are you serious? Fly honeys?
Oh, yeah. And they'd be dressed in cowboy boots and Daisy Dukes.
You don't even know what a fly honey looks like, dude.
I do.
Cubby's the guy who knows the fly. You got to at least give Josh credit. He's the guy who knows fly honeys.
Oh, I know fly honeys.
You can't dump a Josh line out like that without giving the man credit. He's been dialed into fly honeys before you were even a wrinkle in the sheets.
And Josh also loves chicks.
Well, no, that's our old friend Tuttle.
We got to give credit to Dave for that.
Yeah, he loves chicks. Loves it.
I went to see a Toby Keith concert once.
Oh, just him or part of like one of those like K102 country fests?
No, it was his deal. It was his tour. I was dating a gal at the time who loved Toby Keith, and she got a pair of tickets, and I went. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know any of his music at the time. But I went and saw him in concert.
I was telling these guys, too, off the air when we heard the news that I also went to a show once at Excel. I was in college. My girlfriend and I, we ended up with front row tickets somehow. I can't remember exactly the details, but we were right smack dab in the front row center, and he was playing I Love This Bar, that song. And he has this line where he says, I love this bar, I love my girlfriend. And he sings that line, and he goes, I love this bar, and he points at me, and he goes, I love your girlfriend. And
that's right. That's how they do it.
Yeah, she melted.
Yep.
That would have been awesome.
That's how they do it.
Did you ride home alone?
Yeah. Oh, there. Yeah, I think that they got married, actually.
I'll tell you what, I mean, it's really odd for me personally to learn of Toby Keith's passing, because just a couple days ago I ran into an old buddy and he was telling me stories of drinking with the man.
No way. Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet that's fun.
We hadn't seen each other in quite a stretch of time, me and this guy, and just jaw-jacking back and forth about the old days. The old days. He and I used to drink back when we were young. And he got a real job, and we don't drink like that together anymore. But he was talking about how he used to, and this is true, he used to try to push Jägermeister on me. I've had a couple buddies in my life that tried to make me a Jag drinker, and this was one of them. Bill, a guy I ran into a couple days ago. Bill was talking about how when we were younger, he would always try to push Jag on me. And I did go along with it a couple times, but 8 times out of 10, I said, nah, I don't need that stuff. I'll get too wasted. So anyway, we were talking about our old drinking stories, and he told me one that I didn't know, where he was hanging out at a bar summers, and in walks this Toby Keith character, and the two of them went shot to shot until they were both annihilated. And then 2 days later, we find out he passed away. That's very sad. So our condolences to his big fans. Like I said, I know a couple of his songs from my neighborhood jukebox. I went and saw him playing concert once, but I wasn't terribly familiar with the guy.
Well, just based on text, he's beloved. That's for sure.
Most definitely.
That's too bad. Too young to go.
Yeah, I like that.
Cancer, friggin' A, man.
Oh, I know. But he says that in that song, doesn't he? He says, we got hookers. Doesn't he, or am I making that up?
I
thought he said something about hookers. That's a lot of fun. Apollo Creed, back to Carl Weathers. That's one of the greatest movie characters ever. His character died too soon, and so did the man who portrayed him. Mm-hmm. And I know he, obviously he wasn't in the movie Creed, but Creed is one of my favorite movies of all time. With one of the most terrific opening scenes in movie history. If you know it, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look it up. When I went to see Creed in the theater, first time I saw it, that opening scene with the little boy, Josh, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The little boy who grows up to be Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo. The little boy is in a juvenile detention center, and he's fighting, and he's raising hell, and he's this terrible problem. Has everyone seen it? Say aye if you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Aye.
Okay. Most of you know the scene. Ashley does not. Ashley, you'll love it. Trust me. If you don't love the opening scene to Creed, you're not a human being.
Okay.
So the little boy is this troubled kid, and Felicia Rashad's character is Apollo Creed's widow, although she is not Adonis's mother. Correct?
Boy,
I believe that Adonis.
Is that the case?
I think Adonis Creed was the product of a side piece, right? Okay, but Apollo's widow still wants to care for the child, so she comes to see him at the juvenile detention center, and they're talking back and forth, and she says something along the lines of, your dad wouldn't be proud of you the way you're behaving, and he says, I ain't got no father. And she says, well, yes, you do. And this and that happens, and the little boy eventually says, what was his name? And then the movie theater went dark, and the screen just said, Creed. And I got a chill so deep down in my spine. The girlfriend I was seeing at the time was with me in the theater, and when that happened, I went, oh, holy Jesus. And she looked at me like I was the biggest moron that had ever lived, because she wasn't a Rocky or Apollo. She was humoring me by coming to the movie with me. Mm-hmm. And when she saw how that opening scene affected me, she was embarrassed. She was embarrassed to be sitting with me.
Well, that movie was so good.
I literally said out loud, I went, holy Jesus. Because I knew I was about ready to really enjoy myself.
Yeah, I saw Creed 4 times in the movie theaters.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was that into it.
That's something.
You're rich. I had, my wife yesterday was saying that our next dog, so we named our newer dog Rocky, after Rocky. And our next dog she wants to name Apollo.
Oh, that's a cool dog name.
So we'll have both.
I just can't forgive him and Creed for that dirt bike scene.
That was stupid, you're right. But the rest of the movie was great.
I don't know the dirt bike scene.
When he was doing the training montage and he's running down the street.
And four-wheelers and stuff.
Yeah, there's four-wheelers and dirt bikes like going next to him as he's running.
I'm with you. It lost me a little bit there.
I was like, huh.
But the rest it makes up for it.
Yeah.
So some bad news, unfortunately. With the passing of Toby Keith and by God, don't tell me I just was talking about him, Carl Weathers. Yeah, so there you go.
Classic Country Jesus said Toby Keith raised millions for military members and families, donated and raised millions for cancer patients. He built a place in Oklahoma City to house cancer patients. I didn't realize he was so charitable. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. People are...
Good man.
People have been texting me the lyrics to that song. I love this bar. Okay, yeah. I've seen short skirts. We've got high techs, blue-collared fellas and rednecks. We got lovers, lots of hookers. Blah, blah, blah. I think you might have screwed this up, but we like to drink our beer from a mason jar. Oh, isn't that how they served their beer at Toby Keith's joint? Tap beer, I think, was served in a mason jar.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I remember.
It's actually, and we got lovers, lots of lookers. I've seen dancing girls and hookers.
Dancing girls and hookers. Mm-hmm. Guy knew how to write a song.
Yeah, that one always gets the people at the bar going quite a bit.
Oh, for sure. And maybe you had to be there, but, you know, I talk on and off on this program about the early days of First Avenue independent wrestling. Wasn't there a WrestlePalooza relatively recently?
Yes,
it was.
January.
January.
It's a couple weekends ago.
And as much as I still love and respect the folks who put on First Wrestling, I mean, what a great success they've become. I just haven't gone to the shows lately. I've gotten to an age where I just, unless you have a chair for me. But in the early days, my buddies and I were the OGs of that operation. There were nights where it was 12 people and half of them were me and my bros, you know. And maybe you had to be there story. There was a ring announcer at the time who just happened to look a lot like Toby Keith. And he struggled a little bit. He struggled. When it was showtime, he would not try to make fun of the guy, but he would stammer a little bit. Sometimes he would screw up the wrestlers' names. One of my favorites was, and this is a friend of the program, the guy who runs First Wrestling, Eric Cannon. I don't know does he still go by the moniker of the Anarchist?
Yes.
Okay. He's hung on to that title for quite a few years. So it was time to introduce the Anarchist, Eric Cannon, and the ring announcer who looked like Toby Keith says, "Here he is, the Anarchist." Eric, and so we're busting his balls. We would bust this ring announcer's balls up and down. I don't know why he didn't crawl over the ropes and just choke us to death, but because he was a big dude. But one night he gets in the ring, and we could tell he was nervous again to be there, the ring announcer. And as he's taking a breath to say his first word, one of my buddies from the cheap seats hollers out, "Toby Keith!" And he just looked at us like, "You sons of bitches, will you just get out of here?" Toby Keith! He knew it. He knew he looked like the guy. So there you go. What else is going on around here? C Willi Myles going to swing by again?
Yeah, that'll be great to see him.
Yeah.
C Willi Myles going to swing by again today and hang out with us. Get us started on this brutal 4-day work week.
So Janelle Klein, who joins us a lot of Tuesdays, she's out for Super Bowl week?
So she still has a trial going on. Right now she's covering some type of trial. And then she has to go straight to Super Bowl stuff after that. So
at first you made that sound like it's her own trial. She's facing legal issues.
That's why I slipped though. Wait. Let me correct myself. She's covering a trial.
I was going to say, I'm like, oh no, yesterday you said she was doing Super Bowl things and now she's in trouble? And it is in Vegas. But she seems like the type that would avoid trouble.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, that'd be great. So next week we get to talk to her about her experience out there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
She likes to go to all the parties and everything.
Yeah, she gets invited to all the cool ones. Gets to see all the celebrities.
She will be able to swing in here before she heads out to the Super Bowl. Is that what
No.
She will now.
No, she will not.
Yeah.
No. She will not be able to join us until next week.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought the Super Bowl was a couple weeks away. The Super Bowl is this Sunday, this coming Sunday. So she'll be able to come see us after she goes to what we had to call it every week around here, the big game. Okay, so no Janelski. She's got this and that going on. Then she's going to the football game. Well, good for her. More than one person has texted in on the passing of Toby Keith, like Josh said. He's a very popular guy if you check our text messages. And a few of them have said that they loved drinking beer out of the mason jars at the restaurant there in Golden Valley when he had that joint going, but they were difficult to hang on to once you got drunk.
I'll bet.
Yeah, it is kind of a bigger grip than your standard pint glass for sure.
And they'd they sweat quite a bit. They'd sweat if we let them sit there too long.
I was picturing the mason jars that are a little upgraded and have a nice little handle. These didn't have handles on them?
No, this was old school. Yeah, I don't remember ever gripping a handle.
Oh, I would have dropped so many of those. I'm glad I never got a chance to go there.
Hey, a couple, they would throw a live act into the mix once in a while. Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So what were these stories? What were you guys, you and Wapple, Dana, you guys said you're ashamed of some of the behavior from your days at Toby Keith's. You got to tell us a story.
Oh, it was just that era, like right after college, and we would go there all the time, and there was, like Wapple had mentioned, Josh's lines, but always fly honeys there at the Toby Keith's bar, and just kind of always just found trouble somehow, one way or the other.
Yeah, it was always the place that me and my buddies would go to try to get lucky. Some of my buddies did get lucky, but I never did.
Wait, how did your buddies get lucky?
Yeah, we've seen your buddies. I mean, we bust your chops about, having no luck with the ladies, through a good stretch of your youth. Your bros seemed as if they had even less of a chance.
Yeah. This was a different group of guys that you've met.
Oh, you broke up with those guys?
No.
Oh.
No, this was like high school friends.
So you no longer hang out with your high school friends?
No, I do. Just a lot of different groups that I hang out with.
So you're saying these guys who actually scored at a bar are guys that we've never met before?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, because I would sleep with you before any of your friends that I've met. Like, by far.
What? No,
I'd take you home from a country bar.
All the girls like D because he's so tall and talkative and funny.
All the girls like D, you said.
Yep.
His name was D, too. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So, basically what you're saying is your buddy's got some action at Toby Keith's.
Oh, yeah.
And Wapple's there to provide support.
Yep.
I am now realizing why I never had a chance to go there. I didn't know it closed in 2018?
Well, yeah,
it looks like, I was not 21 yet.
No.
Yeah, it's been closed a while now.
I was surprised it closed. I mean, it seemed like such a hot spot.
It was, yeah. I was too.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that I went and watched one Super Bowl over at that joint. And I guess I could say there was some uncomfortable feelings on that day. You guys ever had this experience where you run into someone that you had a one-night stand with, and you're not exactly sure if...
What their name is?
No.
That sucks, too. Yeah.
You're not exactly sure if the reunion is going to be a pleasant one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a situation when it was me and my brother and just one other guy. I think we decided to go to Toby Keith's for Super Bowl Sunday just because I guess we assumed that maybe it wouldn't be overwhelmed with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We thought, okay, this is more of a Friday or Saturday night thing. We don't want to be fighting every dildo in town for a beer and a bite to eat. Let's go somewhere where we think it'll be a little lighter crowd. And we were right. There was not many people in there. It's exactly what we were going for. We damn near had the whole bar to ourselves. But we walk in, we sit down, and there's one gal behind the bar, and it's a gal that I had a one-night stand with. And again, I mean, not that either of us did anything on that night where we hooked up, but I just wasn't sure what the reaction was going to be. Sometimes it's, hey, you son of a bitch, how come you never called? That kind of a... So I sat down with my brother and this other buddy, and I mean, I'm thinking to myself, just my luck. The one gal working behind the bar is a gal that we dialed into each other one night, 6 months prior. And I said to my brother and my buddy, I said, we may not be here long. As soon as I saw her. God, but I got to say, she just walked up and was, hey, how are you? And it was like a massive relief.
Yeah.
But I did kind of check the contents of that beer in that mason jar. The first one, is there anything in it? Did she put anything in this?
You're switching it with your brother's beer.
Yeah, here, you drink that one. If something happens to you, then we'll know. So everything turned out fine. But there was that, I'm sure everyone in our listening audience knows that moment where you run into a one night and you go, I don't know if this is going to. There she was. One gal behind the bar has to be. People have texted in to ask if we ever went to see Toby Keith's movie. They think it was called Beer with My Horses. Beer with My Horses?
Beer for My Horses?
Beer for My Horses? Anybody?
No. I didn't know he did a movie.
So. Oh yeah, beer for my horse. Beer for my horses.
I never saw it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
It actually also says he was in one of the Dukes of Hazzard movies. Broken Bridges, whatever that is.
One of the Dukes. There was more than one.
I wasn't sure if there has been.
my head too.
I thought there was just the one.
Is there just the OG? Okay.
As far as I know,
Well,
there was.
let's not call that the OG.
No.
You're talking about the one with like Dax Shepard? Was he in that one? Or?
Stifler was in it, I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Sean William Scott was.
And Johnny Knoxville, maybe?
Yes.
Is that who it was?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I was warned right away, don't watch the entire Dukes of Hazzard movie.
It says it has a Tom Wopat, John Schneider,
Well,
Catherine Bach.
those are the original
Yeah,
Dukes.
that's Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. We're talking about the one that was made, I don't know, 15 years. I have no idea. But it was Johnny Knoxville and the dude who played Stifler. And Jessica Simpson. I mean, a lot of folks loved her at the time. But, oh, yeah. No, I never made it all the way through the Dukes of Hazzard, the modern day movie, because I was told right away it completely eats turds. As a matter of fact, a gal friend of mine went out with on a first date, this gal that I sort of knew, she went on a first date with one of my best high school bros. And they went to see Dukes of Hazzard, the movie we were just talking about with Johnny Knoxville and this and that, right? So I was kind of excited that these folks were going on a date. I was, because this is one of my best high school bros and this gal that I thought was really cool and cute, and I thought they'd be perfect for each other. So I knew they went to see the movie together. 3-4 days later, I ran into her. And I said, hey, you went out with Donnie to go see Dukes of Hazzard. How'd it go? And she said, I can't see him again. I just, nice guy and everything. But that'll be the only date we go on. And I was kind of surprised. I said, well, what do you mean? What happened? I mean, he's such a great guy. And she said, he is. He's very nice and very polite and respectful. But she said, we went to go see the Dukes of Hazzard movie, which she said, I wasn't crazy about that in the first place, but I figured I'd give it a shot. And she said, your buddy Donnie laughed hysterically at the entire movie from start to finish, and she said, and that is the dumbest movie I have ever seen. She said, there's no way that I can continue to see this guy if he thinks that level of garbage is wildly hysterical. And as upset as I was to hear the story, I said, I get it. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, if somebody's enjoying a movie too much that you think sucks, or vice versa, but not liking a movie that's excellent, it can make a difference, especially on a first date.
Definitely.
That same thing happened to me. I went and saw Harold and Kumar go to White Castle with a girl, and I was laughing my ass off the entire time, and she did not make a sound.
I never saw that, but it looked kind of dumb. But I know people love it, so maybe I need to watch it.
Dumb funny, for sure. But it definitely got me going when I saw it that day. And she was just unmoved by the motion picture.
It can happen. It can happen. This was a girl that you just briefly dated?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like, looking back, I think that was kind of where things just kind of fizzled out after that.
You know what's going to happen? One day you're going to run into her at a Toby Keith's restaurant. And you're going to have your fingers crossed that she doesn't slap you across the mouth. What a great crowd we got out there, huh, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
Hell of a crowd out there. We appreciate you tuning in. And again, condolences to the big fans of Toby Keith and of Carl Weathers. Those two guys passed on in the last few days.
Crappy news.
It is bad news. We'll try to pick up the spirits of everybody this morning. We'll do our best to have some laughs. We'll wrap with Randy Shaver a little later. And, of course, speaking of laughs, our stand-up comic pal, C Willi Myles, will be ducking in as well. So we appreciate you being there. We'll take a little break, and we'll come back here before you know it on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Half-Assed Morning Show.
They're loud. loud, they lose control, they do their little circus act. They're a nuisance.
93X.
Our experienced and certified technicians at Standard Heating have been trusted to keep our fellow Minnesotans comfortable and confident for over 90 years. We're ready to do the same for you, providing comfort you deserve since 1930.
Standard Heating is having their 94-year celebration. They have special offers just for you this February. Whether you need a new furnace or a tune-up, they have something special for everyone. Visit standardheating.com to save today.
On the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast, co-hosts David Green and Rob Abasolo interview real estate investors and entrepreneurs about successes, failures, and hard-earned lessons. Joined by author Dave Meyer,
who wrote a book. I did write a book.
It seems like you're coming out with a book every 4 minutes.
You are one to talk. You've released 2 books this year. I've done half as many as you.
It is more about strategy than it is about just finding whatever the new buzzword happens to be.
Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
All right. Here's where we're going to go first. People often say that once you get married, well, maybe I should put it this way. People often say that once anyone gets married, they then let themselves go. They stop worrying about their appearance. And on from there.
Sometimes when you get engaged, that happens. As in my case.
You didn't let yourself go.
Well,
you look better than you ever have.
More so that, very nice of you to say, first and foremost. And I noticed the rest of you didn't agree.
They didn't say anything. They didn't nod. They didn't say anything.
And I will remember that.
Yeah.
As soon as my wife said yes, I stopped going to the gym. I wrapped it up. I'm like, all right, I'm done. She can't back out of this thing now. I stopped being a lifter guy.
You sure as hell can't tell.
That's nice.
You know what I mean?
Especially with those calves, my goodness.
It's not like you put on 118 pounds or anything.
I didn't do that. Dana, you're not allowed to comment on my calves anymore. You didn't agree earlier.
When did you get engaged?
You look hot, Cubby.
I'm married, Wapple. I was engaged before I was...
I know. When was that?
2008?
2008?
Nope, I'm wrong. 2007.
2007, so I would have been in 7th, 8th grade. I should have told you.
You should have told him what?
Dude, you're letting yourself go.
You're letting yourself go.
Yeah.
Dear Mr. Radio Guy.
October 2007. Last time I pushed a bar. That was it.
So, yeah, that's a line a lot of folks go along with, that once you get married, you let your appearance go. The other line you hear a lot is that once a woman gets married, she's given her last BJ, at least to her husband.
Yeah, so, maybe for your anniversary or a birthday, that'll show up.
So all of that might be true for some of you, but as far as the letting yourself go thing, be careful not to get to a point where you just become a disgusting mess. Here's a lady in Turkey who upped and filed a lawsuit. She filed a lawsuit against her husband for not showering often enough. And she wants to divorce his ass. The woman, referred to as AY here in the story, she filed for divorce from her husband, a fella they call here CY. AY is the old lady. CY is the dude. And she cited his lack of personal hygiene as the main reason for walking out on him. In court, AY said that the husband wore the same clothes for at least 5 days in a row. He rarely showered and constantly smelled like sweat.
Yuck.
There were witnesses brought in to back up these claims, including friends.
Can you imagine being called as a witness for that?
I would enjoy the hell out of that.
Oh, geez, I just snorted. What the hell? How'd that happen?
If it was, say, it was your wife or something, Josh, that smelled like burnt ass, and, you wanted to leave her and maybe get some money out of it via a lawsuit, that would really be fun. I mean, come on, of all the things you could possibly be hauled into court to talk about, that would be fun to just sit there Mr. Bourne, did she smell like burnt turds? Yes, she did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be fun. So anyway, witnesses were brought in. Co-workers were brought in. Co-workers of the husband. And they all gave statements confirming that CY, the husband, is more or less a disgusting bag of ass. And the court approved the woman's request for divorce and also ordered the husband to pay her a decent pile of Turkish money as compensation for putting up with the filthy sumbitch. According to these witness testimonies, CY, again the husband, took a shower at most once every 7 to 10 days.
Oh.
He only brushed his teeth, quote, once or twice a week, which caused his breath to smell unbearable. Some of the husband's co-workers said his crazy levels of body odor made working with him pure torture.
Jeez, I hope the guy's okay.
Well,
yeah, you mean like he might have some issues there?
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's the only thing that I could think would prevent you from wanting to do something like that.
I don't know.
There's some people that are just comfortable and don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, can't you smell yourself?
Maybe after a while you become immune to it.
What do they call it? Nose blind.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Like cigarette smokers lose their sense of taste and smell. Maybe if you are just covered in filth for long enough, you don't smell it, you don't feel it. I mean, yeah, the couple guys that I've known in my lifetime who were just filthy, there was nothing out of the ordinary about them otherwise, at least on the surface. There was nothing out of the ordinary about... I remember a friend of mine worked for the city at the time, and he was one of these guys that would check your water meter. You following where I'm going with this?
Yep.
And this one filthy friend of ours, they thought that his water meter must have been off, must have been broken or something, because the guy, he never showered, right? So he never used any water. So when my buddy checked his water meter, he thought it was broken. But then someone had to say, well, it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't use any friggin' water because he never washes himself. Ever.
How often do you guys shower?
Once every 2 days.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
Every other day.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, I wash my hair every other day, but I at least get like a what are those called? Just like the quick
rinse?
quick bath, yeah. Where
I think
whores bath. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes,
I think Austin Powers referred to it as a whore's bath.
Yes.
I've told you the story before about this coworker when I was a kid working warehouse jobs. There was this coworker, and he passed on years ago, and I loved this guy. He was such a fun, good guy. He died young, but he just never washed at all. As a matter of fact, at one point in his life, he was hauled out of his apartment and deloused.
Man.
At least that's the story he told. He lived in an apartment complex, and his landlord was, I guess, had some amount of rights to, and I know nothing about this kind of stuff, but his apartment was so disgusting and he was so filthy that the landlord ordered him to be, and this is 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I have no idea if laws have changed. Again, don't text about, it doesn't really matter to the story. But he claims that he was, because he came to work one day and his head was shaved, and he looked like Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm not exaggerating. He was a big guy, built kind of heavy. His hair stood straight up like a mad scientist. He looked like Leatherface. And one day he comes to work, and his head is shaved, and he is clean. And we said, what the hell's going on here? And he said that he was removed from his apartment, and they forced him to wash. Anyway, the dude was covered in dirt. And this was a filthy job that we had at this warehouse. Filthy. You would walk out of there disgusting. He didn't care. The only clean part of his body was right around his eyes, because he'd wake up in the morning and rub his eyes. Other than that, he was covered in filth, but he was just a really lovable guy, and we really loved being around him. But there was one time he would never leave the warehouse to go have lunch, where some guys would drive off to Burger King or whatever, and we felt bad that he sat in the warehouse all the time and never went out to lunch. So me and my buddy, we were like 19 years old, working at this warehouse. We said, come to lunch with us. He said, I don't know, I don't really. We said, come on, we'll go to Pizza Hut and we'll give you a friggin' personal pan. When we walked in the joint, I'm not kidding, a family having lunch, the mother went, ah!
That bad.
That is how, you've never seen anything. I wish I had a picture of this guy, but that's just how he was, that's how he operated. And it wasn't his filth. I mentioned he died young. It wasn't his filth that killed him. It wasn't, just in case you were curious, but he was totally normal, other than the fact that he just did not care at all for personal hygiene.
What about, back to this Turkish guy, what about this theory from the Brotherhood? Maybe he realized he made a mistake marrying that woman, and this was his only way out.
That was his way.
He stunk her out.
Yep.
You see, I never, ever would have come up with that.
I didn't think of that either.
Brilliant.
But anything's possible. Now, dirty asses have been used as a cause for divorce before. Back in 20+18, a Taiwanese man divorced his wife because she only took a shower once a year.
Ooh.
Oh. I bet that's a nice shower, though.
Yeah, that does feel good.
He said the last straw when he said he was going down on her and he found a dead turtle. Oh, I'm kidding about that. I'm kidding. That never happened. But you got to at least make it so you're not offending other people. He never found a dead turtle. All right. This can happen. I think we told a story like this once before. Doesn't make it any less fun. Cops in New Zealand stopped a suspected drunk driver a night or two ago. The driver of that motor vehicle, he tried to get one over on the police by giving him a fake name. But douchebag gave the cops the name of a guy who actually is wanted by police.
Oh, no.
That stuff's so fun. I know we've told stories about like a twin that'll try and pass themselves off as their sibling, and then they find out their sibling has warrants they weren't aware of.
Now, back at the police station, the cops had a good laugh over all that. That's great. Oh, and then when stupid ass dumped his real name on the cops, they found out he was wanted too.
So he's 0 for 2.
Yeah. To put a lid on one hell of a night, dude was given a DWI. He spit almost 3 times the legal limit. That's funny. What's your name? Oh, my name? It's Osama.
Pablo Escobar?
Osama bin Laden.
I got to say, and no offense to anybody over in that studio, but if I'm just going to randomly throw out a name to try and hide who I am, I'm not going Wapple or Ashley. I don't want to end up in whatever county jail I happen to be around.
That's probably a good call.
Here's a cute trick. It backfired, but it was a good effort. Truck drivers in our listening audience will get a kick out of this one here. The owner of a trucking company in China is in trouble after she admitted to installing GPS tracking devices on the local police cars to help her trucks avoid getting pinched out on the road.
I would never come up with something like that.
No. Brilliant.
Now, the owner is facing some penalties and some fines and such, but it sounds to me that the punishment could have been a lot worse. The scam was discovered during what I believe was a routine tune-up on one of the police cars. They found a mysterious black box attached to the chassis of one of their patrol cars. Further inspection revealed that the box contained a GPS tracker, and similar setups were found on 6 other cop cars. Now, by using some techie stuff that I don't understand, the cops were then able to figure out who put them there. A lady by the name of Zoo. And Zoo owns a local trucking company. She admitted it was her idea. She said she was just trying to help her drivers to avoid getting pulled over and picking up speeding tickets. She admitted to installing the trackers herself. Man, talk about a boss who makes the extra effort for her employees. Right?
Yeah.
I like this Zoo lady. She didn't even ask the truckers to do it themselves. She went and put the GPS crawling under cop cars. I mean, I know she was protecting her own bottom line, but still, she went out there all on her own, the boss, and put these trackers on the cop cars. So, if you don't know how this all works, and I certainly don't, she would track the cars on her cellular telephone, and then she'd track the cop cars, and then alert her drivers as to where the cops were and how to avoid them altogether. It's pretty stinking clever.
I wonder if this is the first time in history that's ever occurred. Never heard of something like that.
If you told me it was, Josh, I would believe it.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. That's why I'm so impressed. That's why, again, this is the boss. She didn't have some lackey go do it for her. She did it herself. Just trying to avoid Smokey Bear. For all you fans of the legendary trucker movie Convoy, starring Chris Christopherson. You ever seen a duck that couldn't swim? Quack, quack.
We'd all be lucky enough to have a boss who would install some GPS on police officer squad cars for us.
Would be nice.
Mm-hmm. I just saw Convoy the other day. God, it works every friggin' time. God, does that movie work every time. That end scene, when he makes that charge at the cops. Hey, duck. All right, I'll get back to business because you guys don't even know what the F I'm talking about.
Oh, I've seen most of it.
Never saw it.
I've
If you
heard
don't
of it.
get out of that hunk of crap, I'm going to blow you sky high. Come back. All right, this is a type of thing that makes old folks dislike the young people. This is tough. This one's tough for me to read, Josh.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm. This is what makes us old folks dislike you young people. 65-year-old guy named Stefano. He was out on his daily walk through a park in Denver last Thursday. You go on walks? Don't you go on walks with the wife once in a while, Josh?
Sure do. Take the dogs with us.
Nice.
The whole thing. It's a whole thing.
It's like a regular thing. So this 65-year-old guy, Stefano, I don't know. He's on his daily walk somewheres there in Denver in a park, and he had to use a bathroom. I've been there. I have. So he spotted a porta potty, or as Wappa would call it, a porter potty. He found an extra large one made by a company called Honey Bucket. I'll tell you, that ain't honey dripping down the sides of that bucket. That's for damn sure. Honey Bucket is the company that owns this porta potty. So there goes Stefano in there to do his business. Before he finished up, he felt the porta potty start moving. He thought that workers were picking it up to empty it or move it to another location. That wasn't the case. It was some friggin' teenagers who thought it would be fun to tip it over while he was in there.
I felt the thing start to move, and I thought that it was a truck picking it up and taking it to a dump or whatever. I started shouting, "Hey, hey!" and it fell to the side. I fell on my back. Fortunately, it fell on the side and not on the front, because if it had fallen on the front, I wouldn't have been able to open the door and get out.
That poor guy.
You never tip a Biff door down.
You never what?
Tip a Biff door down.
You never tip one ever.
You never do it in any fashion.
That's so messed up.
I mean, I can see just a tiny, tiny little bit of humor doing it to a friend if you knew it wasn't going to be that bad. Like, let's say somehow you took a look in it first and saw, it's empty, or it's, you see what I'm saying? No, to do that to a stranger, you better friggin' run, because I'm going to go nuclear.
And he said, yeah, I think it was a couple of teenagers. We saw them. They pushed the portable potty on its side and then ran away. It may sound funny when you're a kid. It's not if you're the guy inside. It's not funny at all.
That's Stefano right there. Poor
I
bastard.
Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good guy.
Yeah, he deserves a gift card to an ice cream shop or something after that.
It happened. Where was I going with this? It was teenagers. He hurt his back in the process, this Stefano. I don't know if he said that in the audio. He hurt his back. Not only was he covered in hell, but he hurt himself. He said he's feeling better now. A man and his son saw it happen and helped him get out. They're the ones who told him teenagers did it. And these kids could potentially face charges, and I hope they do. But they don't really have any leads right now as to who they were. Like I said, they better run, and they better keep running.
What if it turns out it was actually the man and the son who did it?
Whoa.
Well, then they better friggin' run.
That'd be awful.
Like I said, back in the day up at BIR, my buddies and I went up there every summer for 25-some years for the NHRA drag races, and there was one particular day where one of our buddies went into the porta potty. I mean, that's just, you just don't mess with a guy in that situation. Let a guy take a deuce, for Pete's sake. I mean, our campsite was nothing but ball busting and shenanigans and everyone messing with each other the whole friggin' week. But when a guy goes into the porta potty, give him 5 minutes apiece, for Christ's sake. Well, Curtis goes in there one day, Josh. You know Curtis.
Oh, I love Curtis.
Curtis goes in there. Just grown man wants to do his business in peace. And the young guys at our campsite started firing bottle rockets at the friggin', how do you call it, the porta potty?
Yeah.
They lit some smoke bombs under the door, and there's smoke pouring. The guy, he can't even take a dump. He's got to rush out of there because he can't breathe. And you know what he said to the young guys? He said this, and I agree with him 100%. And some of those young guys might be listening right now. Ricky and friggin' MJ and you pukes. Curtis said, there's a lack of respect at this campsite. A lack of respect. And he was right. This here is a story about what it's like to live next door to a bunch of dildos. And it sounds unpleasant. There are folks in a neighborhood near London, England. They live in a town called Bath. And they're pissed off. They live next door to a sex toy factory. And they say that it's loud as hell over there at all hours of the night. And the neighborhood folks are taking action, it says here. The sex toy plant is run by the folks at Love Honey. We've heard of them, haven't we, Josh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't they run ads, or they did at one point?
Love Honey. They're pretty well known. Love Honey.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones.
They specialize in sex toys, lingerie, bondage kits, condoms. They've had this warehouse over there in Bath, you know, hammering out double-ended dildos and such for 20-some years. But the locals are turning on them. They say starting at 4 effing a.m., the warehouse switches on some big old heat pumps of some kind, and they're just loud as balls. So there's a big fight going on now. 4 a.m. Just all kinds of... Who knew cutting pocket Broncos out of rubber and latex was such a noisy operation? I never would assume such a thing. This is good here. There's a guy that works at Love Honey who makes a comment here in the story. His comment won't matter at all to you, so I'm not even going to read it. But it is worth mentioning that the dude's name is Gary Box.
That's pretty cool.
That's just silly. I work for Love Honey. You do? What's your name? Gary Box. By the way, the ass end of the story here, a property litigation lawyer by the name of Mary Rouse. She dumps advice for dealing with noisy neighbors. You want to try this out? Just in case you run into it yourself? Thanks for the enthusiasm.
I said yeah.
I know you did,
Oh,
Ashley.
I thought you were
was
being
looking.
sarcastic. Sorry.
Again, I'm looking at Dana and Waffle.
I thought you were being rhetorical.
Yeah. They can't even compliment Josh on your appearance.
I know, that is lame.
Nor they can they support.
I admit I also thought it was rhetorical.
Advice for dealing with noisy neighbors. There's 6 pieces of advice here. Number 1, stay calm.
That's good advice no matter what.
Yeah.
Sure.
Unless you're on fire. Mm-hmm. In which case, stop, drop, and roll in a panic.
Then it's okay to lose your composure.
Yeah. It's important to approach these situations in a reasonable manner, she says, okay? Number 2, practice what you preach. If you complain to them on a regular basis, it's important they cannot bring up any similar arguments against you in response. They could say, well, they're complaining about noise over at my place. They're the ones who had the 2-day Toby Keith tribute party, you know what I mean, that went at all hours of the night. So practice what you preach. 3, keep recordings. Oh, okay.
Smart.
Document the times that your neighbors are being disruptive. Number 4, well, this I don't agree with this one, because why should I have to put in work because my neighbors are loud as hell? They say you can soundproof your house with rugs and carpets and gum. Oh, and that's not gum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not spending money.
Soundproof your house.
How would you feel, too, if you got like a little spreadsheet? You have to document all that stuff?
Yeah.
5, do not retaliate. Don't let the frustration get the better of you. 6, seek legal help. Call a lawyer.
Thankfully, never been in that spot. Anybody here have super noisy neighbors?
Thank God, no.
I think, yeah, as we've discussed before, I think we've all been pretty lucky with that.
I mean, I had a loud love maker in the townhome community I lived in, but that was welcomed.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Well, at least someone's getting something.
We got 2 new neighbors in our townhome complex, and it can get pretty loud because they're trying to remodel their townhomes. So on one end, we get a lot of banging, and then right behind us, a lot of banging.
So, like, well, who just said at least somebody's getting some, right?
Yeah.
People are texting in, Toby Keith died last night. Yeah, that's why I brought him up.
Wait, what?
That'll be a nice tribute to think that someone would have a 2-day-long Toby Keith tribute party.
I'd show up to that party.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
You wouldn't have been invited, but I could see you showing up.
All right, here we go. I'm going to wrap this sumbitch up. Christmas came and went, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sure did.
It may or may not come back next year. Some of you really love Christmas, don't you?
It's pretty great.
You really do.
It can be.
Yeah, it can be great.
So tell me what you think of this. Does this turn you on? A Christmas-themed sex hotel?
No.
I don't associate those two things together.
Well, I guess we learned, I think it was like 2 years ago, that like having a Christmas tree with the lights on in your bedroom can result in more sex. Puts you in the mood more. So maybe they're onto something
lighting
here.
All right, a Christmas-themed sex hotel. Sounds like the place is called the Hotel Plan Chapel Christmas in a place called Narita, Japan. Let's just call it the Hotel Christmas. I don't know. I might have added some words in there that don't belong. There's a sex hotel in Japan. They call it a love hotel designed for couples who want to bump while surrounded by Santa and his silly reindeer. It's Christmas all year round over at this joint. The story also says that these so-called love hotels are all over the place in, by God, Japan. They're not shy over there. The hotels can be rented for the night, but also by the hour if you just want to fold the boss's wife real fast on a lunch break or something like that. But the deal here is this joint is, like I said, specifically for those who want to get fresh with a Christmas theme. It's lit up with lights and statues of old Santa Claus. There's Christmas trees everywhere. Pine needles jabbing you in the lower back while the wife grinds you into dust. Red and green bedding in the rooms, tinsel, you get the idea. You can rent sex toys at the front desk. Hello, front desk.
It sounds cute and all, but I'm only ever in the mood for like Christmas-themed things during Christmas. I'm not gonna go there in like June. No.
You can't get into it in July?
Nah.
I could. All year round. I've always wanted to check out one of those themed hotels like that. Was it Fanta Suites that used to be in Burnsville? Is that what it was called?
Oh, I don't know.
Where they had the themed rooms.
That sounds familiar to me, John. But you went there once, didn't you?
No, I never did.
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, because it was one of those things in high school where for prom, right? Everybody wanted to rent a room, and I thought maybe by the time I was old enough for prom, it was already gone, or maybe we just didn't go. I don't know, but it was one of those things, or maybe we couldn't rent it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I never got an opportunity.
I stayed in a Blues Brothers themed suite in Las Vegas once at Planet Hollywood.
A Blues Brothers themed suite?
Yeah, they had a bunch of movie props and glass display cases like the suits and things like that and hats and everything. It's pretty fun.
Did they only have a couple different dinner choices on the menu? Was it either dry white toast? What was Elwood ordered dry white toast, and then Jake ordered two whole fried chickens and a Coke. Was there any sign of that?
I did not see that.
You didn't see that?
Uh-huh.
Double D Cheeses would be interested in a Halloween sex hotel.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
A lot of chicks like that dark stuff and the costumes, the outfits and things like that. The kinky ones, they like that stuff, Cubby.
That'd be fun. I bet they would have like different costumes for you to choose from. That'd be sweet.
For you to choose from.
Yes.
I knew where you were going with
Words
that.
are
I'd like to
hard.
dress as a Klingon and bang my wife on the Starship Enterprise if they ever make a hotel like that.
I can see you digging that.
Honey, you have the con.
But Josh, what do you order from the front desk as far as sex toys go? Like at this joint in Japan, you can rent sex toys at the front desk.
Boy, well, maybe just a ribbed candy cane.
Definitely.
Oh man, I'd like to be the guy who answers that phone call at the front desk. I'd like to spend one weekend I'm in charge of fielding the phone calls from folks who want to rent a sex toy. What do you got back there for nipple clamps? One of them might say. I need some double XLs if you got them. The wife's got some keepers. That would be great. I'll be right up. You got to carry him in a wheelbarrow. I'm on my way with the nipple clamps. There you go. I just dipped my hand in my own chew spit.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Oh, man. The haircuts continue. It's at the free throw line, staring into a man getting his head shaved.
That's a great bit.
That's pretty funny.
Oakland University. And some of you are thinking, Northern California, I feel bad for them. They lost the Raiders. They lost the Athletics are leaving. No, not that Oakland. It's in Michigan, for Christ's sake.
Duh.
Oakland University. They hosted a college basketball game the other day, and I love when the student section has the opportunity to put on some kind of a show to distract the opposite team's free throw shooters. Student section right behind the basket is a great place for them, right? Golden Gophers have that situation. So the Oakland University students, in order to distract the opposite club's free throw shooters, there was a group of dudes, none of them wearing a shirt, and they were shaving each other's heads in the stands right in the line of sight of the opposite club's free throw shooters. Very funny video. 4 or 5 of them went through with it.
Yeah. It looks like it.
This is up on the website.
Can you just get a comment? I'm sorry, Ash.
Yes.
No, you're good.
Thank you. You're right. On the website, we appreciate that. That's a great place for it.
Were you just going to comment on how awesome a couple of their hair was before they shaved?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had beautiful, big, thick hair like
sure
you and
did.
I did back when we were 20.
Those were the days.
Shaved. I did that once. I did.
Shaved it down? My
Yeah.
dad used to do that every summer. He'd shave our heads.
Well, that's when you were a little kid. I mean, sure. When I was like 20, I had a massive head of hair, and I got drunk one night with a group of ladies, and one of them was practicing to be a hairstylist, so she was shaving the sides of my head, like, say, Metallica had that look in the early 90s. Remember when they all shaved the sides of their
just
head?
the sides.
It's like just like a power mullet kind of a thing.
Yep.
But anyway, so she did this one night. She was drunk and she missed and took a chunk out of the top. You know what I'm saying? Ruined my beautiful hair. I mean, whatever. I wasn't that upset, and I went to the barbershop and just had him shave it all the way down. And you know this story, I think, Josh, because then so I got a completely shaved head. The next house party I walked into, right when I walked in, one of the dudes looked at me and went, "Oh, dude, jump around. Jump around. Jump up, and get down." So there you go.
That's pretty good.
Great video. Check it out on our website. There ain't much going on. I mean, there's not even any real big Super Bowl hype yet. I bet a guy like Patrick Mahomes is like, dude, something's got to happen to break the monotony. You know,
I would think so.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what. He's thinking something's got to happen to break the boredom of the Super Bowl week. We can discuss that in a little while. I'll just tell you right now, a couple of games tonight. The Timberwolves are at Chicago tonight to play the Bulls. That game will be televised on Bally Sports North. Golden Gopher Dudes are at the Barn tonight versus effing Michigan State. That game kicks in at 8 o'clock on something called the Peacock Channel. Gophers are a 500 club in Big Ten play, so it'll be a fun one tonight. Effing Michigan State, dudes. Randy Shaver and C Willi Myles will be joining us in about a half hour. Josh's news report is coming up right quick.
Half-assed morning show.
They're loud, they lose control, they do their little circus act. They're a nuisance.
93X.
Our experienced and certified technicians at Standard Heating have been trusted to keep our fellow Minnesotans comfortable and confident for over 90 years. We're ready to do the same for you, providing comfort you deserve since 1930.
Standard Heating is having their 94-year celebration. They have special offers just for you this February. Whether you need a new furnace or a tune-up, they have something special for everyone. Visit standardheating.com to save today.
Half-assed morning show. 93X.
I think what we've seen is a lot of patterns of abuse of power.
She just went overboard, and she just kind of crossed the line here. And it's just a shame that nobody will stand up to her and get this handled. You know, everybody's scared of her.
A California school superintendent allegedly bullied members of a girls' high school softball team when they didn't applaud loud enough for her daughter during a ceremony. I wish I didn't screw that up. That's so good. Now she's been placed on leave. Again, to sum up, mom didn't think her daughter got enough applause. She happens to be a school superintendent, and she threatens these kids that they're not going to graduate if they don't applaud louder.
I'm sure the daughter loved that.
Man, grown folks have changed.
The district placed Superintendent Dr. Marion Phelps on administrative leave last week following a months-long investigation into the harassment allegations stemming from the incident. Phelps and her daughter became disgruntled when the varsity softball player, who was named the team's most valuable player, didn't receive loud enough applause compared to other players at a team banquet. Following that banquet, the daughter accused seniors on the team of feeling jealousy and hate toward her. Mm-hmm. The superintendent later threatened all the senior student athletes that either they admit they orchestrated a conspiracy to not clap for her daughter.
Are you kidding me?
Stop it.
Or she'd ensure none of the students would be allowed to walk at graduation. The school district investigated and found no evidence there was any conspiracy against the superintendent's daughter.
Who is it that you think you are? And what world are you living in?
It's unreal.
And it's just incredible that this is a grown person who wouldn't stop and think, my God, what am I saying right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one thing to lose your cool in the heat of the moment and say something ridiculous like, you're not supporting my daughter. That's one thing. But this is an ongoing investigation. That's madness.
And she was
absolute madness.
She was texting these students.
Oh my God! I think you can do that.
Trying to get them to turn on each other. I mean, I'd imagine it's not easy to become a superintendent.
No, it's not. They don't just hand you that job.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know enough about it, but I would think that's a difficult path you'd have to take to get there.
That'd be kind of fun being one of the girls that was being like accused of not clapping. I imagine their group chat with each other was just amazing.
And here's the thing, Josh. Here's what really will send a chill down your spine, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who can say this. I know people, and I can picture them actually coming up with something like this over their own children. Mm-hmm. I can.
I can just picture her standing out there with a decibel meter, checking the readings each time.
Well, we're getting there, but we're not quite there.
like when you go to a game and then they have the little meter that's going back and forth.
Louder.
Hollow meter at the Target Center.
Yeah, so it might take a while to become a superintendent, but we've all learned together how quick being a superintendent can end when you do something this stupid.
Think about what you're saying. My goodness.
How do you not feel completely silly? I mean, even if you feel you're totally justified, you'd have to take a step back and go, okay, this is pretty silly.
Yeah, I think
they didn't applaud loud enough.
The lunacy gets in the way. You don't have any thoughts like that, Josh. You are convinced. You're 100% on the ball.
And the daughter just got to be so embarrassed and humiliated.
I don't know.
Or maybe she's so into it, too.
You'd like to believe that.
You're right.
The daughter did think there was a conspiracy against her.
Okay. Oh.
So maybe she didn't want mom getting involved. I don't know, but she did feel that way. Well, we started the show talking about the sad passing of Carl Weathers, of course, the actor best known as Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies, who passed away in his sleep last week at the age of 76. Then news broke overnight that Toby Keith has died after a battle with stomach cancer. He was only 62 years old. The country music star passed away last night while surrounded by his family, they said. In June 2022, Keith announced he had been diagnosed with cancer that previous fall. Very sad.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Way too young to go.
Yeah, both big losses. Very sad. A Bronx family court judge abruptly took herself off a child custody case after the mom involved publicly accused the jurist of coming onto her, that is, via a swingers app. Well, you don't
Wait
do that
a
too often.
minute. This is good stuff right here.
Judge Cynthia Lopez, who's 47 and apparently horny, announced a recusal last week.
She announced a recusal?
Yeah, she's taking herself off the case.
Josh, I wouldn't have even tried that word.
Well, I can do it in my head.
You got heart.
I can do it in my head. During a brief virtual teleconference, she announced this with a parent named Sydney Sutherland. The shocking turn of events came after Sutherland claimed a woman by the name of Cynthia reached out to her on 3Fun, the leading app for sexually free singles.
This is good.
Sutherland provided a screenshot along with the sender's purported profile, which shows a photo of Lopez, clad only in black heels and black negligee, sitting cross-legged on a couch. The sender was not shy about what she was looking for, stating in her public profile, "We are a full swap couple in an ethical non-monogamy dynamic looking to have some hot, sexy fun with other full swap couples and single ladies," she wrote. They make it boring.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I love that. I love the way they put that.
We love thick girls just as much as we love petite ones. At the end of the day, it's all about personality. Guys, at the most, should be stocky, and I, the female, prefer males to be somewhat endowed, she wrote.
I'll be damned.
Sutherland didn't mince words in her reply. Bitch! You know who the F I am, Sutherland said. I'm sorry for that. I should have given you a warning.
It's not your fault.
I was capturing Sutherland's spirit. She wasn't happy about what the judge did. She posted on TikTok, as we do nowadays, and that made its way to the City Administration for Children's Services, which in turn referred the matter to the State Office of Court Administration. Sutherland, for her part, is no stranger to the law. Doesn't sound like she's a great person. She's pled guilty to assault on 3 different occasions in recent years and some pretty nasty stuff. Judge Lopez will be replaced in the custody case and has declined to comment.
So who was hitting on who?
The judge was hitting on this woman who she was ruling whether or not she could get her kids back.
Oh, my goodness. And I'm not trying to put you to work here, but one more time, that website is what? And no, seriously, and they described themselves as what? Just the way it came off was wonderful.
3Fun, the number 3Fun. Yeah. The leading app for sexually free singles.
I'd like to announce right now that I am a sexually free single.
You can't do that.
Why can't I do that?
You are recently married.
I am
to a wonderful woman.
I can't still be a sexually free single.
You can be sexually free, just not the single part.
All right, I'm willing to compromise.
That's big of you.
All right.
You know, you were supposed to compromise back when you got married, not months later.
For Christ's sake, I knew I was doing this all wrong.
A jealous boyfriend who rammed his car into an Australian McDonald's in an attempt to run over his girlfriend.
Oh.
Claims he did so because his PlayStation 5 was manipulating his mind.
Oh no.
Is that right? Is that possible?
No, not
The
that I know. I don't know, Wappa. You have a PlayStation 5, right?
I don't know. Sometimes when you play Grand Theft Auto, the lines get blurred.
The dramatic scene unfolded with the 28-year-old jumping out of his car, brandishing a knife after he smashed into the restaurant. He was then seen approaching the victim, accusing her of cheating on him. A 23-year-old manager stepped in and called police. In a letter of apology, the suspect told his girlfriend he was sorry, and at the time, his PS5 was controlling his mind.
I'm sorry.
Not me, PS5.
Oh,
PlayStation.
Wow. How many of you's got one of those? You got a PS5, Josh?
No.
No.
I got one.
What do you play, Josh?
I don't really game too much. I'll play Madden with my son on, we've got an Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox is the way to go.
I got a game. I got a. God, I'm hoping I get the line right here. I got a GameCube.
That's sweet. Dude,
that's the wrong line. That's the wrong line. What did B-Rad from Malibu's Most Wanted? He claimed he had some video game. Go ahead, Josh. Don't worry about it. Remember that scene from Malibu's Most Wanted when B-Rad announced that he had, or someone announced they had like the dumb video.
GameCube's pretty sweet, actually.
So it's the wrong one.
Awesome.
It's the wrong one. Someone text
Dreamcast?
me. Dreamcast?
Oh.
I like Dreamcast. I'm gonna check the text message. I'm checking the text. I don't even know what this stuff means, but there's that line from Malibu's Most Wanted where someone says like the least popular video game system, and I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, he says Dreamcast, GameCube.
That's my fault, Josh.
While taking an Uber home, a Florida man exposed his genitals and pleasured himself to completion. Forcing the driver to clean up the mess.
Wow, in the back of an Uber?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's
You know how it
disgusting.
Oh, I would not be able to clean that up.
According to court records, the driver picked up 46-year-old Jason Haggerty about 8:45 p.m. January 27th in Tampa and then drove him to his St. Petersburg address. While en route, Haggerty decided to masturbate the duration of the ride until arriving when he got home. You know what I'm saying?
That is not right.
The driver told cops he doesn't speak any English, and he was unable to tell the defendant to stop, though he did use his phone to record the behavior. The driver said Haggerty finished, and in order to continue working, he had no other choice than to personally clean it up. Police believe alcohol did play a role in that incident. He was arrested Thursday for exposure of sexual organs.
I bet if you whack off in the back of an Uber, that'll ding your rating a little bit.
Yeah, he can't go, no ride shares, the judge said. Can't do it at all.
Oh, really?
Sexually free singles like myself don't worry about things like that.
No rules apply. A Georgia man's accused of shooting approximately 127 rounds from a .40 caliber handgun while under the assumption ninja-like people were after him. January 18th, between midnight and 9:28 a.m., 37-year-old Richard West destroyed a mini fridge, a microwave, a metal desk, a television, a space heater, and 2 computer towers belonging to Robert Scavone, the owner of J&R Cycle Shop. West shot through the glass front door and glass storefront, tore down a portion of the ceiling panel, insulation, and then shot through multiple locations of the walls and the metal garage door, breaking into a bathroom door and apparently even taking that door off its hinges and cutting it into pieces.
And then he masturbated?
No, it doesn't say anything about masturbating. Maybe he will to the memory. Put that in the old spank bank. Following the shooting, West stole a motorcycle from inside the shop, just for good measure. When police caught up with him, he told them he was shooting at ninja-like people he believed were after him. That's something else.
Yeah,
Scary.
Yeah. I mean, folks say stuff, don't they? They say things.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually been there when they've said it. Mm-hmm. And then I pretended I wasn't. I didn't want anybody to know. An Australian news reporter was violently attacked live on air by herself.
Such a good video.
By herself?
Yeah, she attacked herself. She apparently attempted to swat away a pesky mosquito, but missed, and ended up hitting herself in the face hard.
Oh.
You can see the video on 93x.com. Andrea Crothers, a reporter for Australia's Today Show, was on location reporting on the recent flooding in Brisbane when the annoying bug landed on her face. The reporter, as any bug-hating person would do, swatted at the bloodsucker, but her aim was just a tad off, and the bug was a little too fast, leading to Crothers accidentally giving herself a rather vicious slap to the face. After the moment of impact, which was loud enough for the mic to pick up, Crothers ran off camera flailing her arms. While she appeared to be under duress at the moment, her colleagues weren't as concerned as they were finding it quite amusing.
That's just kind of, I don't think it's funny.
Her moment was shown at least 4 times, including one being played in slow motion. The day after the viral slap, she donned a mesh headpiece during the live broadcast. I'm okay, guys. HR said I could wear this as long as I don't file for workers' compensation for punching myself in the face, she said. She agreed the video was quite hilarious.
That sounds effing hilarious.
When I pulled this video up, I thought, oh, it's just going to be like a light little slap that she gave her face, but she really just ducked herself.
She hates mosquitoes, apparently, and her face. The former manager of the Chick-fil-A at MSP has been charged in federal court with embezzling over $144,000 from the restaurant and using the money on gambling, jewelry, and OnlyFans. He's accused of pocketing some or all of the cash he was supposed to deposit from the Chick-fil-A as well as a nearby pizza place.
Documents say collect cash from the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport Chick-fil-A and pocket it instead of putting it in a safety deposit box.
In addition to the jewelry, online gambling, and OnlyFans purchases, he also sent tens of thousands of dollars via Cash App to various individuals, including female airport workers, in, quote, exchange for personal photographs and videos.
Wow.
He's pulling a caper there, and he got caught. Comedian, 2004 Big Ten Freshman of the Year with the Gophers, 14th overall pick by the Utah Jazz, and one of the many former Kardashians, Chris Humphries, is 39 today.
Did you call him a comedian?
Yeah, comedian Chris Humphries.
I didn't.
He does some comedian
He
stuff.
does? Mm-hmm. I had no idea.
Me either.
All right. Well, I'll have to look that up, Summers.
Axl Rose, 62.
What a lunatic.
Flex Jesus is headed to Mexico. Looking forward to having some margaritas on the beach. Happy belated birthday to Cambridge Donk Jesus from your little brother, Oil Spill Jesus.
Hauling around that Cambridge donk.
He's got that big Cambridge donk, that's for sure. Happy birthday to Backcracker Jesus, a.k.a. Chiropractor Clem, a new member to the Brotherhood from the Dog Is Not My Boss Jesus, a.k.a. Huey. Dustin texted in a happy birthday wish to his beautiful wife, Hannah. Happy 43rd to Shawnee Be Good Jesus and his birthday buddy, Kyle. And finally, happy 21st to McKenna from Dad, STMA Zamboni Jesus, and that's 93X News.
Care 11's Randy Shaver.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
And here comes Sellers. Rihanna Alexander had her shot blocked, excuse me.
There you go. Gus Johnson on the call there.
Whoopsies.
Calling a women's college basketball game. And instead of saying that a lady had her shot blocked, he said that she had her blocked. And they beat it, and everyone had a good time. And we move on with our lives. Here we go. It's our Monday. Welcome back to the Programski. C Willi Myles is here. You're back, huh?
Yes, sir.
Nice
Good
to
morning.
see you again. Morning.
We love it. We love having you in studio, C Willi Myles, a very funny man, and a guy who's very funny looking, Randy Shaver. Good morning, Randy.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's no way to start the week.
Yeah, really.
You're a handsome
That's
son
just
of
wrong.
a bitch.
That's just wrong.
You know, I don't mean any terrible.
It's all wrong.
Super Bowl week, and Patrick Mahomes' dad is in jail.
Whoops.
Oh, man.
Week before the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes' old man is in jail.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
This is Super Bowl week, the hype, the excitement. Are you feeling it yet, C. Willi Myles?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Not there yet.
Was this in the script? Did they put this as a twist in the NFL script?
We do have a few people who are adamant about that. Well, that sucks, and that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. It's his third time, reportedly, too. So.
Yeah.
Is that what that means? I had a hard time with this because the headline is, a week before the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes Sr. is behind bars for driving while intoxicated, third or more.
Yeah.
I didn't... have you guys seen that language printed? And I'd never
It's a weird way to put it, but yeah, it was his third.
It's his third DWI.
That usually means like jail, like actual serious jail time, right? I mean, but he's got probably fancy, expensive lawyers that can get him out of it.
Sure. For mere mortals, yeah, you're probably going to jail. For someone whose son is a billion-dollar athlete, it's probably a long shot that the guy does any real time. Unless
I think it also indicates there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think more than anything else, it indicates that there's a problem that either has been addressed and still can't figure out, or has not been addressed yet. So,
yeah, if you get 3 DWIs in 10 years in Minnesota, you get a year in jail and $3,000.
I got a couple of buddies there, Wapple, who came awful close. But some fancy lawyering got them out of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember I was there when the phone call was made. And my buddy answered the phone, and he knew this was the call that told him either you're off the hook or you're going to jail. And that's not a fun spot to be in. Mm-mm. It was fun when he got the news that he was off the hook.
I bet.
You know what I mean?
I bet you party.
Crack open some beers.
Well, he did say.
We drove straight to the bar.
He did say, hand me a friggin' cold one. He said, I'm back.
I'm driving.
But it's no fun to be messing around with that stuff. Yeah. We all know that. And it's one thing to maybe get a .09 or something. You know what I mean? But from what I hear, Mahomes' dad's driving around with a tall boy in the console.
Oh.
Yeah, he had one with him.
Yeah.
He had a road soda going.
Wasn't he? Was that in Texas?
Texas. Well, yes. Tyler, Texas.
It tracks.
They hand out a lot of DW. Oh, you're saying there were a lot of drinking and driving?
A lot of drinking and driving in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can live with that.
And he probably had a gun on him.
I don't know.
No, I'm just saying. Down there, it's just free. It's a free.
If you don't, you're a weirdo.
Exactly. No, that's why I don't go to Texas.
You know, it's weird, like with sports stats, right? There's stats for everything. You know, they always talk about, what do they call that? Stats say do this. What's the word?
Analytics?
Yeah, analytics. Analytics say do this.
I was going to say thugonomics.
That's different.
That's a different.
That's John Cena.
Right.
I'll always walk with Elias, Jesus said. So if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl this weekend, he'll have as many rings as his dad has DWIs.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. That's cold. It's funny, but it's cold.
I mean, if there's a real problem here, then, Patrick Mahomes Sr. should dial in and straighten it out. This is just me. This is just, it's funny. At times I say the liquor talking. But what came to mind is that sounds like kind of brazen arrogance, too, to be driving around town with a tall boy cracked in the friggin' console. Yeah. So it could be a little bit of both, a drinking problem, or he thinks, well, hell.
My name will get me out of this?
I'm above the law.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll be able to travel to the Super Bowl?
They already say he can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They say yes. The story I read, the judge said you can go off and watch your kid playing in the game. But maybe the guy does go to jail, because I had forgotten this just 3-4 years ago. Patrick Mahomes Sr. did at least have to do, I think, some kind of weekend service. Service isn't the word. Weekend time. Someone give me there's a term I'm missing here. But he was sentenced to 40 days in jail 3-4 years ago when he got his second Dewey. And it says here, records state he served weekends to fulfill that sentence. So maybe he does go to...
obviously, if he's was sentenced to 40 days for the second one, he's going to get some more for the third one.
You'd think, right?
Dubbed Famous Jesus said he got a third D-dub 5 years ago. 90 days of house arrest, 3 years of alcohol monitoring in his vehicle.
90 days house arrest. Mm-hmm. And he had to wear the
ankle monitor.
Did you say the ankle monitor?
In his vehicle.
Or the blow dart?
Blow dart, probably,
The tube.
Well, if he was 90 days house arrest, he still had an ankle monitor.
So sure. Okay.
That would suck.
We'll go along. Oof. That's all bad. It's all bad.
Just got another car.
What's that?
God, C Willi,
you found a loophole.
I'm just saying.
He's got the money
another
for
car.
Yeah, man. Hey, can you give me a car? Sure.
If I remember right, the buddy of mine who got 3 Deweys. Well, see, I got a couple stories here. One of my buddies got 3 Deweys, and he was looking at, I think he was looking at something like 6 months in jail. Mm-hmm. Because a couple of them he blew, he spit a pretty high number.
Right.
And there's all kinds of different ways these things can play out, considering your past record and your and your level of BAC, like I just said, if you spit a big number, that comes into play. The other buddy of mine who picked up 3 Deweys, he went to court, and the judge said, here's the deal. You either do jail or you go to treatment. You have to do one or the other before you get your driver's license back. And my buddy said, I'll choose neither, and he went and bought himself a bicycle.
Wow.
He really did. He said, I don't want to do either. And the judge said, well, then you're not going to get a driver's license. He said, cool. And he went out and bought one of those big fat tire bicycles.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. It's incredible, but that was the choice he made.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Is that what he's still doing today?
I haven't talked to him in a long time. I hear differing reports on where he stands on that. But the sumbitch was riding a bicycle to work in the winter.
Oh, man.
That's a commitment.
Just because
I have a friend that does that.
Well, for different reasons?
No, they do it for the
health
exercise.
Of it? Yeah. Well, this guy does it just because he doesn't want authority ever to tell him what to do. He's one of those guys.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm 46, so I'll go buy a bicycle.
Well, at some point, you got to be responsible. I've been a DD my whole life.
Designated driver.
Yeah. And I tell my friends this to this day. I will come and give you a ride anywhere, but I will not come and pick you up from jail.
Fair enough.
Don't call me. You can call me to come pick you up from a bar, a party, any time of night, because I don't want you to drive. But what I will not do is come pick you up from jail.
Right.
I like that.
Oh, man. Is it true what they say about drinking, C Willi Myles? What's the old joke? Who was it, Randy Shaver? Henny Youngman, who used to tell the joke, he feels sorry because C Willi Myles does not drink. You never have. Never have. Henny Youngman used to say he feels sorry for people who don't drink. They wake up in the morning, and that's the best they're going to feel all day long. So there you go. There's the first big story of Super Bowl week is Patrick Mahomes' dad.
That's too bad.
God dang, yeah. And I hear that maybe some reporters tried to ask Patrick Jr. about it already, and he said, I'm not talking about that.
He's a grown man. That's his father. He doesn't have to...
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Shouldn't have to comment on that.
Doesn't have to say jack squat.
Talk to him.
Yeah, call my dad. Yeah. There you go. All right. You want to hear some Super Bowl prop bets already?
Sure.
I knew Randy would jump on that.
How many are about Taylor Swift?
Super Bowl prop bets. Let me see. Let's see. Here's one. Will Taylor Swift be shown on television holding and eating a hot dog?
No.
She usually does have one, actually. I've seen a few photos of her holding a hot dog when she's up there in the booth.
All right. Will Travis Kelce announce that he's put a baby in her?
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
You want to bet on any of these so far, Randy?
That would break the internet.
No to both.
Right.
All right.
I mean, no, that those won't happen.
She won't be eating a hot dog.
Nope.
And she does not have a baby in her.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Will Travis Kelce propose to the lady, Taylor Swift, following the... Okay, no on that one.
Public proposals, what you're saying? No.
Yeah, so then your answer would also be no to will he ask her on television and then she'll turn him down.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be so cool.
That'd be the best ending.
So bad.
That would be riotously funny.
Her new album coming out would be awesome if that happened.
She has a breakup song on there that he doesn't even know about yet.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It's in her diary.
She's just holding it, waiting for it.
There's a few prop bets so far for you, so use that however you like. What did I have here? Oh, yeah, speaking of betting. How many people are in the room here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Randy's at home. We got 7 people. We can work this out. Survey was conducted. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans have online sports betting accounts. How many of us have an online sports betting account?
I do not.
Nope.
Do not.
I do not.
I do.
You do, Wobble, you do. And Randy Shaver?
Well, I don't have a online betting account.
He's got a shady bookie.
I have fantasy. I don't know if that counts because, and I do a little prize picks, which is prop bets. So I suppose yes would be the answer.
Close enough, I think, with the answer.
Yeah,
would be the answer.
It's not where you bet against the house.
You're not a big sports gambler, C Willi Myles?
I don't gamble at all.
You don't gamble at all?
I love money.
You don't play?
I don't play with my money like that, man.
Poker? You don't play blackjack?
I don't play poker, blackjack. I don't bet golf, and I'm pretty decent at it.
Yeah.
But what I tell my friends is that, like, we team up. If you put me in it, and if we win, I want my share. But if we lose, you're paying my share. I don't trust my. I don't. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I don't. Listen, man. I don't have any bad. Yeah, I don't have any bad habits.
Randy Shaver, when's the last time you made a sports bet? Did you make one over the weekend?
Well, if you're talking about a prop bet,
any kind of a bet, you did.
Yes. Oh, sure. Yes.
You got a problem.
Will you be betting on the Super Bowl, or is that what you did?
I didn't bet on the Super Bowl. I'll do a prop bet.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You want to give away what you're eyeing already or anything?
I can. Sure.
Well, it's up to you. Is it boring?
No, it depends. If you don't care about it, it would be. Yes.
No, go ahead. So people might want to take your advice and then hold it against you if it goes wrong.
Sure. Give me a second.
No, go ahead.
I got to bring it up.
And then I'd love to. I knew he would have.
There's paperwork involved.
Yeah,
you got to bring it up.
He's got to look at. He's got a computer file full of them.
So I took Christian McCaffrey over 18.5 rushing attempts. I think the 49ers will run the ball quite a bit.
All right.
I took MVS.
What does that mean?
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Okay.
Over 18.5 receiving yards.
All right.
Because he averages 18 yards a catch. And I
bet on him being the one that put a baby in Taylor Swift.
That's cold.
And I took Rashee Rice under 6.5 receptions because the defense the 49ers play is not Rice does not have as much success against that type of defense. So those are the three that I've taken so far.
So we should bet the opposite then, is what you're saying.
Well, if you'd like, be my guest.
This is the only real football question I'm going to ask for today, considering the Super Bowl.
Sure.
We can maybe get into it on Friday if you want to. Is the Niners defense really good enough to stop these friggin' characters on the Chiefs who piss me off so?
I don't know if there's any defense that's good enough to stop Mahomes once we get to this level of game. Regular season, yeah, anything's possible because sometimes they're invested, sometimes they're not. But they're totally invested right now, obviously. It's the Super Bowl, so...
and I'm going to watch. I actually... I should join this conversation. I actually made a bet this weekend, if you want to call it that. We got some numbers going back and forth and whatnot. So I'm in, and I'm going to watch the game now that I got some numbers on the game. Why not? I got nothing better to do on Sunday night. But here's my thought is the 49ers are going to get walloped in this ball game. I think they're going to get absolutely walloped and embarrassed.
Wow.
And part of the reason why is I think that friggin' quarterback from Iowa State is going to be wetting his damn pants.
Spot's a little too big for him, you think?
I think it's going to be one of those Super Bowls where we come in the next day and go, Jesus Christ, that was terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. I agree.
That's just my initial thought.
It's a
not
different
a lot
stage.
of faith. Not a lot of faith in someone from Iowa State, is what you're saying.
You are the only one. You are the only one, Randy.
Yeah.
That was a slap in the face, Shay.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
We were talking about earlier, Randy Shaver and C Willi Myles. We were talking about the passing of Carl Weathers over the weekend.
Yeah.
That was sad.
We were big fans of that man. I loved him so much in the Rocky series, and I just thought he always came off like one hell of a nice, humble, normal guy. Everybody loved Carl Weathers, and he died too young. Sylvester Stallone put out a video talking about his friend.
There's no Rocky without Apollo Creed.
No, it was just It was of course it was heartbreaking to watch Sly talk about Carl's passing. Wanted to throw that towards the both of you.
I had the opportunity in 2003. I was in San Diego and I met him.
Really?
We were down in San Diego. Yeah, I was doing an event down there that he was at. There's a lot of big celebrities down there, but he was the one that I spent the most time talking to.
That's
really
great.
Super nice guy.
That's great.
Really.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thick fella.
Yeah.
You know, I was standing next to him. I'm like, I was feeling a little bit intimidated, a little bit. Usually I'm not around people, but he had that fit about it.
He was a cut dude from start to finish.
Right.
He was. He played college football. Played in the NFL for a cup of coffee.
Right.
But he was there.
Yeah, he's a Raider, man. That's even if you're there for one game, that's legendary.
He played at San Diego State and his head coach was Don Coryell.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago we were talking about Don Coryell on this program.
That was our conversation because I wasn't recruited by San Diego State, but the University of San Diego, and I was talking to him about that, and we were talking about football basically.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned that too, and this is off track just a little bit, but you were talking about Toby Keith. You know, I had toured with Toby Keith.
You see?
Really?
We learned
that's how we bonded, was over football.
We learned this morning that Toby Keith died. Yeah. Also very sad.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Last night.
I know.
We've been discussing this on and off this morning. Yes, Randy Shaver.
I did not see that.
He had stomach cancer and he died. So you toured with Toby.
I toured with Toby Keith was my first country star that I toured with before he got big.
Yeah.
He was wrestling, he was on a bus, man, and he was doing like 150 shows a year, and we hooked up down in Southwest State University and went all the way across the Midwest.
That's fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah. And
the two of you became friends.
What year was that, C Willi?
Oh my God, that was 95.
Wow.
Yeah, 95, 96.
What was it like being a non-drinker hanging out with Toby Keith?
It was the good thing about that time. I was a big eater, and that man, they would barbecue every night after the concerts.
Yeah,
I put on 35 pounds. I'm talking barbecue, tater salad. I mean, it was 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, man.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Had no idea that you were friends with the man. Our condolences.
Yeah, we were not close, but we bonded, you know what I mean? We kept in touch every once in a while if he was in town or whatever.
Yeah.
I went to a couple of his concerts when I was on the road, but, I could always call, Buddy, his manager, and get me a ticket.
He was a big Oklahoma football fan.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, did you ever run into Jim Ross?
No.
Another big Oklahoma football fan. Jim Ross of the WWE, in case you don't know.
Right.
Well, yeah, so it's a bittersweet, it's kind of a sad day.
God, he was young, too. 62.
Wow. Younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Timberwolves in Chicago tonight to play the Bulls. That game will be televised on Bally Sports North, and we learned over the... Oh, by the way, does this matter at all to anybody? 50 Cent predicts that the Wolves will win the NBA Finals this year.
Nice.
It does not mean anything.
That's awesome.
That should mean a lot. Go with it.
50.
Keep hope alive. That's a good team, man. I'm telling you.
Well, they are a good team, but, you've been watching them lately, C. Willi. Yeah. They had another one of those fourth quarter turds over the
got
weekend.
80 games, man. You got to have a few of those. They got time to make it up.
But they've had like 5 in the last week and a half.
I just watched them the other day.
That fourth quarter collapse thing is just wearing on me. But they stomped Houston, and I guess 50 Cent was at the game. He was in town to promote his new liquor. He's got a new booze. Do I have that correct? Anybody?
Yeah, he has a liquor that he promotes.
And he was sitting courtside with Alex Rodriguez, and someone put a mic in his face. He's probably just being nice, but he said the Timberwolves will win it all.
Do you see his fans are calling him 25 Cent because of all the weight he lost? That's pretty funny.
Is he
hilarious?
At one point, he looked like a power lifter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got pretty jacked.
He doesn't do that anymore.
No. I don't know. He's pretty thin now compared. He put on a lot of weight.
Now, because the T-Wolves were the first place team in the Western Conference a couple days ago, they went ahead and said that Chris Finch and his coaching staff will coach the Western Conference club at the All-Star game here in a couple weeks.
Oh, fun. Wow. Did you hear what Finch said?
No.
It'll be just like coaching his team. They won't listen to him either.
Wow.
Just brutal. Jeez. He said it tongue-in-cheek, but I think there's some truth there.
Dude, that's an all-timer.
Yep.
That's great.
It'll be just like coaching my team. They won't listen either.
That's great.
Wow.
I mean, but coaching the All-Star game these days,
right?
It's basically like being a gym teacher.
Yeah.
Well, you're basically just in charge of substitutions.
Yeah, you just roll the ball out.
I don't even know if you're in charge of that, though, Randy.
Right,
I think those guys just get up. Right.
LeBron.
Like my buddy says about gym teachers, you just roll a ball out.
Right.
That's it.
They're all All-Stars. What are you?
Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean, cool. All the fellas on the coaching staff get to go with.
That's a really cool deal. Flip
have
was the
some
last
drinks.
one. Flip did it, I think, in 2004.
Yep, long time since
Yeah.
Flip coached way back when.
So
now on the other side of things, it's kind of funny that Doc Rivers has been named the head coach of the Eastern
He's only been there like 2 days.
Right.
Jesus.
Been with the Milwaukee Bucks for 3 games before they had to name these coaches, and they said, "Doc, go ahead." And he said, "What? What are you?"
I was looking for some time off.
Yeah, really.
He thinks it's ridiculous. His coaches are busting his balls about. Pardon me. His players are busting his balls about it.
Yeah.
Here's a quote from Damian Lillard. Did you know that Doc Rivers is going to be coaching the Eastern Conference All-Star Club despite only being back as a head coach for 3 games? And Damian Lillard said, "That's pretty funny."
He's
that good.
And why doesn't did the Boston coach do it last year?
Yes.
Is that why? Okay.
Yes.
And then the Cleveland coach wasn't considered, or was Milwaukee ahead of them at the time?
Milwaukee was ahead of them at the time.
Okay, I got
The
you.
Cleveland Cavaliers have won 15 out of 16 or something like that.
Yeah, they're red hot.
So, yes, since the dude from Boston last year, Joe Mazzulla, since he coached last year, they don't like to go back-to-back skis. So they called the second place club the Bucks and said, "Doc, you're in." And he said, "It's ridiculous."
I don't want it.
He said, "I think there should be a rule somehow that someone else does it other than me." I don't know if he can get away with this, but he actually said, "I'd be happy to send my coaching staff."
And not him.
Right. He said, because they've been there all year long. So that's cute. All right, what else is going on?
You know who else is they had just won 9 in a row is the Knicks. Your boy Tibbs.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to play really well now.
Yeah, Tibbs. All right, how about this? Bill Walton, one of the oddest dudes to ever live, but he's just so hilarious and so original. He's just such a great character. Bill Walton. You know, when he's calling those Pac-10 or whatever they call that conference.
Yep.
Is it still just a Pac-10?
It is.
Okay. Like the Big Ten, even though there's 17 teams, we're still when he calls those Pac-10 games, he always comes up with something wacky. And him and his play-by-play man, Dave Pasch, are so great together. So the other night, they got to talk. They're covering the Oregon-USC game. And his Walton's play-by-play partner, Dave Pasch, asked him if he could confirm a rumor he heard about Star Wars, the movie.
Is it true that you were in the mix to play Chewbacca?
Chewbacca is modeled after me. No, George Lucas is as cool as they get. And I remember the night that George and Kareem and Bill Russell and me, we were all up in San Francisco at a big fundraiser for the Martin Luther King Memorial. I auditioned for Chewbacca, and they said, "No, but we're going to model the character after you."
Chewbacca.
Yeah, why is he keep calling him that?
Because he's an old man now and he does not know.
Yeah. And no one can understand what you're saying, but they can understand Chewbacca.
Yep. So that's very interesting if he's telling the truth. He said, "No, I was not in the running to play Chewbacca, but the character was based on me." That's great. He is one of the most fun guys. What was that great one from a while back? Oh, the Ghostbusters thing.
Oh, yeah, and he was in it.
He was. Him and this Dave Pasch were talking about Ghostbusters, the original movie from 1984, and Walton says, "I'm in that movie." And Pasch is kind of confused, like, are you messing with me? What do you mean you're in Ghostbusters? And it actually is true. I even went and looked this up. In the closing credits of the original Ghostbusters, if you remember the end of the movie, they're on the streets in New York City and there's just random people everywhere. You can see Bill Walton in the background.
Yeah, well, how about Ghostbusters?
You were not in Ghostbusters.
Check it out.
Hold on a second here. What did you play in Ghostbusters? I got to get back to the game, so make it quick. Were you one of the ghosts? Were you the ghost that slimed Bill Murray? Answer it. Yes? No?
Just checked out the movie, okay?
I have seen it 100 times.
100? You haven't watched all the way to the end.
Were you the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?
What's that?
You weren't in Ghostbusters.
Watch what you say.
Did you play Zool?
Zool.
She was the villain in Ghostbusters. Seriously, you got to tell me what you played in that movie here, because I can't go on with the game until you let us know.
Okay, well, you just go back and watch the movie, and I'll take care of the rest here.
There's never going to be another Bill Walton. God, he's good.
You had to watch it to the end.
Yeah. Watch it to the end if you don't believe him. Oh, you guys, Josh was in Teen Wolf.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What? Yeah, he pulled his wiener out.
Yes, I did.
Don't give it away. What's the matter with it? The closing credits? Just keep watching.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That's offensive. You don't want to see that scene.
All right, fine. Do you guys not know the story?
No.
You don't? Actually, we've
haven't
talked
heard
about this before.
The Teen Wolf.
I
We've
don't
talked
recall.
about that. 1985, Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox. Hilariously stupid movie.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Do you know the movie, C Willi?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is all true. At the end of the movie, Michael J. Fox's character wins the basketball game, and he's up on his teammates' shoulders in the high school gym, and they're hauling him away, and then the credits start to roll, and the camera just stays steady on the bleachers, and people are filing out of the game.
Yeah.
There's one guy who stays up there in the bleachers, and he unzips his fly, and he takes out his penis. And he's just kind of playing with it.
Yep, I remember this now. Okay.
And to this day, it remains in the closing credits.
It's still there.
Nobody noticed it. It ran in the theaters. It's been around for 40 years almost. And just nobody noticed. And I'm telling you, it was no more than a year ago. I watched it at home. And I let that sumbitch roll until the bitter end. And that guy is still there playing with his Johnson up in the bleachers. And it was Josh. Wait, I know that guy.
I recognize those privates.
That's hilarious.
Golden Gopher men's basketball at the Barn tonight against friggin' Michigan State. 8 o'clock. Wouldn't that be something to beat Michigan State?
Picking the Gophers by 10.
Ooh. I like your style.
Big game. I mean, they're both kind of in the same position as far as the standings go in the Big Ten. So this is a monster game. And, not to jinx anything, but one of the headlines of the Star Trib this morning is Gophers in the NCAA tournament, ? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. But, I mean, there is implications in this game tonight for sure. And they have been playing really well.
They got a win the other day. The ongoing, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here? The ongoing kind of measuring stick for Big Ten teams to get into the tournament is usually if they're 500 or better. Am I right about that?
In the conference.
That's what I mean, in the conference.
Yes. That used to be the standard. I guess I'm going to assume it still is.
All right.
To some degree, because obviously, and that goes along with having a very good non-conference heading into conference.
All right.
Yes.
A ladies' college basketball player's wig fell off of her head mid-game. Oh, no. And both teams stopped to help the gal and put it back on.
That was pretty cool.
I love this. This video's up on 93x.com. I like that they shielded her.
Yes.
To make sure, nobody can make a meme about it then and just embarrass this girl.
It was a beautiful thing. The gal, this was South Carolina and Ole Miss are playing ladies college basketball a couple days ago. Gal falls to the floor and someone stepped on her wig and pulled it off of her head. And just like Ashley described, all the gals surrounded her and they were laughing and having fun about it, but they surrounded her so cameras couldn't get at her until she straightened that sucker back out and got up and continued to play the game. That's a fun video to watch.
The best part is that there was no hesitation. They just knew immediately what to do, had her back.
Those girls.
Isn't South Carolina?
That's what they do.
Yep.
They're like the number one team in the nation, too, aren't they? South Carolina?
Yeah.
In the world.
They whoop everybody's ass.
In the world.
What was a really fun part of the video was the head coach of South Carolina, Dawn Staley, who's a notable basketball coach. She's one of the best that's ever done it
in the world,
and she was a great, she was a great player too, in the world class player. that she had no idea because she couldn't see what the hell was going on. And the referee comes over, and Dawn Staley, you could tell she's asking the referee, what the hell's going on over there? And when the referee says, well, your player's wig fell off, and they both started laughing. So it's a fun video. All right, man. If you think you didn't give two pumps about the NHL All-Star Skills Competition, you should see how a player named Nikita Kucherov feels about it. This is more fun video you can see. I don't know if it's up on our website, Smashly.
Yes, it is.
I saw 20 seconds of this. I don't care about the NHL Skills Competition at all. It's just a massive F-off in my
Obviously, he didn't either.
It was just so obvious, though. It just makes him kind of look douchey.
I mean,
it does, but just hang on now. Nikita Kucherov, an all-star from the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's out there. It's time to do some kind of passing skills competition and this and that. And he gave less than even a half-ass effort.
I'm not sensing a lot of intensity here, Mess. Wow. This is not a good look, quite frankly, and the fans are booing him. And that's what happens when you don't try your best and you're in a hockey city like Toronto. They're going to let you know.
Ooh, he did that in Canada. It's lucky to be alive.
I mean, it wasn't overwhelming, but some folks in the crowd booed him for his lack of effort. And, I suppose you should feel obligated to put on some kind of a show, but...
Look, man, if you're in Canada and you're playing hockey, it's all out. That's like coming to the barbecue down south at a black family reunion and bringing a peach cobbler with raisins in it. You don't do that. I mean, that's just, you bring your best recipe, not something you found in the newspaper.
Showing up with some fast food when you're at a barbecue.
What I'm saying.
So some people were pissed off at this. Now, Deadspin wrote an article that said Nikita Kucherov exposed the NHL All-Star Weekend for the farce that it is. They said his performance was one for the ages. Now, hear them out. They say there's a fallacy out there that any All-Star game is, quote, for the fans. That idea flew out the window long ago, especially for the NBA and NHL. They say the All-Star game is merely a junket for the league's biggest sponsors to get the chance to hobnob with the top players, a reward for their support of the league and, more importantly, the money they provide. Oh, and also it's a chance for the players to get drunk with each other for a couple nights, which along with various contract bonuses is what they're really interested in. Most of the tickets are held for sponsors and whoever else connected to them. So any pissiness over Nikita Kucherov's tanking at the skills competition are pretty silly. Especially, he was hardly the only one waiting around until it was time to drink. Kucherov was just being honest about it physically, not verbally. Any player, if they're honest, with no consequences, would tell you they would have preferred to have the weekend off. Kucherov was making it clear how stupid this all was. He's not paid for this kind of stuff. He's paid to help the Lightning win the cup. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, sure. But it should be considered an honor, and there should be, I mean, they're not asking you to play a full game out there. They're asking you to skate up and down one time and give a little effort. I'm sorry. I just think it's kind of a shame that you have that kind of attitude about it.
Yeah, he did put on a show, didn't he? He did. He let him know. He let him friggin'
But you
know.
don't do that in Canada. If you're in Tampa Bay, you go ahead.
Right.
Have at it. But when you're in Canada,
that would be my question. Do you think if the All-Star festivities were in Tampa, he would have acted like that?
Nope.
Good question.
In
front of the home crowd, maybe not.
No.
Of
course not.
That might have been the one exception if it was in front of the home crowd.
Well, then again, he would have been home too, so that he'd have been home for the weekend.
I mean, I guess I read a comment from him after the spiel was over, and he said, they made us sit around for 3 hours, and then they asked you to go stick handle. He was not interested from the get-go. He wasn't.
Right.
Yeah. So some are pissed, and some are saying, who cares? It's all a joke anyway. I mean, I'll tell you this much. This is a long time ago. When the All-Star game was here in St. Paul, it was friggin' embarrassing. The game itself was friggin' embarrassing. It was less than half speed I mean, I didn't know what some folks might be saying right now, but what did you expect? Well, I didn't really know what to expect because when I was a kid, I watched a handful of NHL All-Star games, but it's not anything that I ever paid attention to very closely. So then what year was that, Josh? 2004?
Something like that.
The Pigs had only been a club for a couple, 3 years. It was embarrassing, the lack of effort out there. And, I mean, we were sitting by each other.
Yeah, we were looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're like, what the hell is this?
We're like, wait, we get to watch all the All-Stars and the bare naked ladies? Oh. How did we get so lucky?
What are they going to do like with the NFL? Because it used to be an honor to be in the Pro Bowl, and that like even got you into the Hall of Fame. Like that's what people were talking about was, man, this guy was in the Pro Bowl for 7 years.
Well, it's about being named to the Pro Bowl. It's not really what you do once you get to the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now it doesn't even matter to be named to the Pro Bowl.
Well, yes, it does.
Oh, it does. Those are still incentives.
That still goes on your resume, and like Randy said, that still earns you money.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So then why are they always so pissy about going? It's like
because they don't have to if they don't want. They're not Wapple, no one's pissy. The guys who don't want to go don't go.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the end. It's not like it's in the middle of your season. It's different in the NFL. Right. It's at the end of your season. So a lot of these guys have packed up stuff and gone home, and now you're asking them to come back 3 weeks after their season ended to play flag football or something. It's a different vibe than it is during the regular season.
Yeah, right. So. The goal is to get chosen to go to the Pro Bowl. Yeah. But then again, I do remember watching the Pro Bowl when the Pro Bowl was fun to watch.
Yeah.
They actually played a football game.
Yes, they
did.
And
every year it got like a little bit more. The more the money became big contracts, the less these guys wanted to play.
It got more
because
and more.
they didn't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
And they were done. And they'd already got that check.
And it wasn't just the players; it was also the clubs themselves who said to them, "Hey, look, don't get hurt."
Right?
Yeah, because that's that's money in their pocket too. So
that was a good way for you to go and play against the best guys from all the teams, or play with the best guys from all the teams. So
I think that's why that the greatest incentive, likely in a player's contract, is not necessarily making the Pro Bowl, because there's so many injuries and guys decide not to play and they have injury substitutions, and so that really doesn't hold as much luster as it used to.
Exactly.
It's really making the all NFL team. That's the team, if you're first team all NFL, that kind of thing, that's an honor that is really truly the one where the incentives really count.
Yeah. Well, just to make it clear, I'm not flying anywhere to watch nobody play flag football.
No, thanks on that. I remember Josh and I sitting at that friggin' NHL All-Star game. Oh, look, there's Joe Sakic going half speed.
Yeah, that was really boring. It was pretty disappointing.
All right, some baseball stuff, Randy Shaver. I know it's not 2015 anymore, but I was kind of excited when I found out the Twins signed Carlos Santana. That's one of my favorite hitters.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no kid anymore. He's going to be 39 or something, but...
He's a professional hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy that will go out and get the job done for him. He can DH. He can play some first base for him. I think it's a little bit of a sign that they're not totally comfortable with Kirilloff playing first base the entire season. But there's been some discussions about guys like George Soler and other hitters that are still out there.
Oh, that Soler?
Yeah.
Big right-handed hitter?
Yeah, he's still out there. The Giants are actually in discussions with him right now. But, we're getting closer to spring training. We're like a week away, somewhere in that range. And so the Twins will see who's out there, who's still left, what kind of money they can spend. They did get the TV deal done. It's not the full $54 million or whatever it was with Bally's, but it's set for another year, and it is something. And so that, again, teams like Minnesota rely heavily on the local television money. And if it's not there, we see the impact of that, and that is they can't make the moves that people are used to seeing them do just because of the money involved.
Yep. Twins went and got Carlos Santana for 1 year. Also a pitcher by the name of Jay Jackson, who he's been around for a while. And they had a good year last year with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yep.
Here's a text message from Vacation Jesus. He said, I remember seeing Josh at that NHL All-Star game years ago. He had his penis in his hands just like he did at the end of Teen Wolf. Just like
All-Star game? Come on.
At the end of Teen Wolf.
The list is long, gentlemen. Just the list.
Just the list.
Just the list.
How about the Royals breaking out the checkbook for Bobby Witt Jr.?
Woo,
11 years, $289 million.
I mean, I will say this. He's a great player. He does everything.
Oh, yeah.
He's like Corbin Carroll for Arizona. He does He's got power. He could run. He's a great fielder. Yeah, he's a fantastic player.
And before we close this out, while we got everybody here, I wanted to say thank you to all of you. C Willi Myles wasn't around, but Josh and Ashley and Dana and Wapple and Randy, thank you for coming to my dad's celebration of life over the weekend. It meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to my family.
Of course, man.
We all wouldn't have missed it.
That was a great thing you guys put together. And, it was really nice hearing the stories you've told from some of the people that were there. You say, my dad and this guy, and then all of a sudden there's this guy.
Yeah, you could actually walk up and ask him about it.
Yeah.
Did this?
And they tell the story in the same way you did and all the details, and it was that was a lot of fun.
I can definitely tell where your sense of humor comes from, and it comes from your mom, because I had a chance to talk with her for a little bit. She's a funny lady.
Yeah,
she's hilarious.
She's a funny lady.
Yeah, she likes to have a good time, and I'm glad you walked over and said hello.
Did you catch what she said when you came over, when me and your mom were talking?
No.
Well, she's like, oh, you look so young. And I said, well, your son, he keeps me young. And she's like, oh, he keeps me old.
I can believe that.
Wow.
I hadn't mentioned it yet on the air, but my dad passed away at the end of November, and we had to wait for the holidays and some other things to happen before we had a celebration of life. And it was really great of all of you to stop by, because it meant a lot. And we had a good time. We really did.
Good.
A lot of great people and some old friends, some regular.
House.
Mm-hmm. It was.
I think I sent Josh a text, and I said that's what we all would want, right? That's to have a packed house remembering you.
It was a party that he certainly would have liked.
And I liked how you put it. You said he lived a good life, and it was obvious. You could tell. And he loved to have fun, and he did have fun.
Oh, he had a hell of a good time. He certainly did. Randy Shaver and I we had my dad's old high school yearbooks.
That's awesome.
And I pointed out, there he was on the basketball team, and there he was on the football team back in 1957, 58. And Randy and I were laughing at the silly outfits. I mean, the basketball...
The warm-up uniforms.
The basketball warm-up uniforms. In 1957, for whatever reason, they wanted them all to look like spacemen. It was like this bright, shiny... I don't even know what the material... Anyway.
Well, a couple more things, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
I loved in the pamphlet you guys handed out, it talked about your dad being a truck driver for 40 years, and it mentioned accident-free years.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know this about your dad. He played the piano in the marching band.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was...
that was...
What?
Were you guys...
That caught me off guard a little, too.
Wait a minute.
Pushed the piano along, and he was...
That was one of his all-time great jokes. When we were little kids... our next door neighbors, Pistol Pete from across the street.
Oh, sure.
And his sister Seisha. We were all very little at the time, and Seisha, who came to the deal on Sunday, all the way from South Dakota. Seisha, I don't know, she came over to talk to my dad, and somehow they got on the topic of the marching band, and she said, "Well, John, were you in the marching band?" And he said, "Yes, I was." And she said, "Well, what instrument did you play?" And he said, "I played the piano." And she had the most confused look on her face, like, how in the hell? So then she goes back next door to her mother, and she says, John says he was in the marching band. And Seisha's mother says, "Oh, what did he play?" "The piano." And Mom walks over to our property, my dad, and says, "You son of a bitch, stop spinning stories to our kids." Played piano. And I bought it, too, when I was a kid. Played the piano in the marching band.
It took me a second, too, when I read it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I had to register what happened.
That was one of his favorites. So thanks again, everybody.
You're welcome.
Randy, we got to get out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow, but more C Willi Myles when we return.
Half-assed morning show.
They're loud. dog, they lose control, they do their little circus act, they're a nuisance.
93X.
Our experienced and certified technicians at Standard Heating have been trusted to keep our fellow Minnesotans comfortable and confident for over 90 years. We're ready to do the same for you, providing comfort you deserve since 1930.
Standard Heating is having their 94-year celebration. They have special offers just for you this February. Whether you need a new furnace or a tune-up, they have something special for everyone. Visit standardheating.com to save today.
The Ed Milet Show showcases the greatest peak performers sharing their journey, knowledge, and thought leadership.
This is one of the all-time best pieces of advice ever given on the show.
Author and coach Tony Robbins.
You don't experience life. You experience the life you focus on.
Singer Jason Derulo.
My happiest moments have always been in the grind.
Singer Jewel.
I think healing is a gritty job. It's you looking in the mirror and going, what do I got? No one's coming for me. I'm coming for me.
The Ed Milet Show is available on YouTube or wherever you listen.
You guys smell that? It smells bad out here, too. I'm starting to think this whole town smells like doo-doo.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Here we go. We've made it all the way up to 8:32 on this wonderful Tuesday morning. We got C Willi Myles in studio with us. Hello, C Willi.
Good morning.
And thanks again for popping by. Anything new in the last week? We had you in last week. You didn't do any shows over the weekend, did you?
No, man. I had a blessed weekend.
A blessed weekend, nothing to do.
Nothing to do, man. That's what I call a blessed weekend. Because I got it back to back to back this week.
There's nothing better than
Thursday.
doing. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said I have a back to back to back this week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I have 3 theater shows back to back to back.
Yeah, we got a couple of people who text in and said they're going to see you on Friday.
I'm on Thursday. I'm up at Spring Lake Park at the theater there. Then I'm down in Faribault at the Paradise Center for the Arts on Friday. And then Saturday, I'm at the Fairmont Opera House down in Fairmont, Minnesota.
Excellent.
So I got a bit of Minnesota trifecta going on this week.
Yeah, you do. How long is it now that you've been doing stand-up comedy? Hell, you were telling us a story earlier from 1995. You were talking about you and Toby Keith. 19. When did you start stand-up comedy?
30 years ago. August was 30 years.
That's impressive, man.
Isn't that funny? Because this week will be our 25th anniversary of this program. Right, Josh?
Yeah, this Saturday.
This Saturday will be 25 years of this program.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. What did you do before comedy? What were some of the jobs you held before comedy?
Well, before...
Or did you not have much? Because you went right from college.
No.
There was some time there?
Oh, yeah. I had a few years in between.
What were you doing?
Right out of college, I wound up working in the hospitality industry and coaching. So I coached basketball and football at St. Cloud State. I was assistant football and basketball coach. And after that, I moved to Minneapolis. And I was in the hospitality industry and doing comedy at the time. And then I left the hospitality industry and I did radio. I was at 90 over on Solid Gold Soul. I started with smooth jazz with Freddie Bell, who's now in the the Minnesota Broadcast Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Tell them we'll see him soon.
Save a spot. So Freddie Bell. So we did the Solid Gold Soul morning show for 6 years.
That's great.
So was stand-up comedy always the goal?
Always was the goal.
That was the goal.
And I just needed something. You got to have insurance, and when you're doing comedy, you got to buy your own. But if I kept a job, I kept a base until comedy would be the ticket. Mm-hmm. And so when I could make enough money to pay myself a salary, then incorporate myself and do it right instead of so you don't ever have those broke jokes.
Right.
Like when I drove a hoopty or I lived in the basement of some strange person's house. I don't have those stories. It sounds bougie, but no, I didn't want to be that way. I had 2 kids. I had 2 kids, and I wanted to make sure I had a place for them to come and a car to go pick them up. And if they ever got sick, I could take them to the hospital.
Who of us thinks they had the worst job before we signed on the dotted line for this nightmare? Who of us thinks they had the worst job? I mean, I know a lot about what all of us did before radio, and none of it sounded that bad to me. I don't know. Dana, you didn't you hand out prizes via a slot machine at the Mall of America? What was that?
Camp Snoopy. I worked in the Midway where you shoot a ball into the hoop, or you try to defy physics by landing a ping pong ball in a floating dish in water.
Right,
Yeah,
kind of the mini midway type of a job.
Yep.
Now that, to me, that I don't know if I would love that much, because I don't know, interacting with people sometimes can get on my nerves, but you seem to have liked that job.
I love that job, absolutely.
So I don't know if any of us really had a brutal pre-radio job.
I hated my job quite a
had some
bit.
kitchen jobs that I think would be awful.
Well, Wapple was a cook.
Yeah, Wapple loves to cook, though.
But you liked it for the most part, or what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the day and the time. You know,
you're kind of a crabby peckerhead too sometimes. You know, so
yeah, if it
Give
was
your
like,
moments.
If it was like dinner rush on a Sunday or Saturday, and you're just getting your ass whooped. Oh man, that's brutal.
Ashley, you hated one of your pre-radio jobs?
Yeah, I absolutely hated being a server.
But you did it for
the
quite-
money was nice because the money keeps you in it. But I mean, it got to the point where it was like every day when I'd get there, I'd think about just going back in the freezer and just crying for a while. People are so terrible.
Yeah.
If you're, trying to serve them in some way, and
No.
it was awful. And like never having your weekends. I could never imagine going back to a job where you don't get to like go home on a Friday and then be gone for a couple days.
But wasn't it kind of?
Yeah, tell us about that, C Willi.
I can't do it anymore.
Welcome to my
man.
world.
Yeah, I had a job I didn't care for too much. It was I worked like with these two older ladies at a I'll call it a restaurant, like kind of a restaurant, sandwiches and soups and salads and stuff like that.
All right.
Inside an office building, just for the people that worked in the office.
Oh,
I don't know if you ever told us that.
Yeah, I did that for I don't know, a summer maybe.
So you're seeing the same people kind of every day?
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just like, like these women were ball busters. They owned the thing.
The women you worked with.
Yeah, they were just...
They were kind of tough to work for.
Oh, yeah, really tough.
Poor Josh.
It doesn't sound like terribly high demand.
It was just like it wasn't...
A lot of downtime, I bet, just making sandwiches and soups.
Yeah,
for
a lot of prep time.
Prep for the people in... I don't know if you ever told us that story.
It was more just there wasn't like, at other restaurants, I'm whittling carrots into penises with my coworkers.
Yeah,
and I wasn't able to do that here.
I mean, all the jobs that I had before radio. I mean, as you guys know, it was multiple warehouse style jobs, and then I drove the Zamboni. We had fun. We had a riot. My coworkers and I at the warehouses. All we did was play pranks on each other. The Zamboni gig, of course, that's not a tough gig. And when the day was over, I had all the free ice time. My buddies and I would come out and we'd play hockey all hours of the night.
I loved mowing lawns. Absolutely loved it. I loved landscaping, although I couldn't do that now. There's no way I could do that anymore.
You'd be physically torn to shreds.
I couldn't do it.
So I think we all were pretty lucky. And Ashley, back to your serving job, you could never make any plans on the weekend. Like C Willi Myles works weekends. That's just how it's built, for stand-up comedy. Friday, Saturday nights are your big nights. But here's the thing. Tell me if I'm way off here, Ashley, and of course C Willi can comment on this too. Working here at the radio station, of course, we do, or at least I used to do a lot of bar gigs. I got to know a lot of bar staff. Pav's up in Andover. What was the joint down in Apple Valley that your wife... Bogarts. Yeah. Those were two places I went to all the time. The place in Inver Grove Heights, Wapple, Jake's Bar?
Oh,
I thought you were in Inver Grove. You go down that way.
Jersey's?
Jersey's, that's it.
Yeah,
Jersey's. Yeah. Anyway, the vibe that I got from the staff, because their Fridays and Saturdays were all booked up because they had to work, they turned their Mondays and Tuesdays into their... I was always really jealous of that.
Well, yeah, that always works, but you're the only one that's not working.
Right.
So you have no one else to hang out with. Nothing's open.
You had to hang out with your fellow staff members because they're the only... But I always you know how it is in this business, especially in mornings, Mondays and Tuesdays are pretty miserable. You know, you're tired from the weekend. The work week has just begun. I was always jealous when I'd go to the bar on a Monday night just for a quick 2 beers, and there's that restaurant staff crowd, that are booked up on Fridays and Saturdays, just raising hell on a Monday night.
Yeah,
Industry night.
That was pretty cool. That was a little bit of the perk, yeah.
That's the term, industry night.
Yep.
Right.
I always thought that's got to feel pretty cool to be able to just get blasted off on a Monday night, and then you got nothing to do on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think in Woodbury, I think that was Tuesday nights was industry night. So you could actually go to other bars that were in on it, and they would, if you bring in your clock out sheet, say you even worked like earlier that day, if you bring in your time sheet, they'd give you a free beer. Or like 50% off or whatever. It was cool.
C Willi Myles, when you're working Friday and Saturday nights, if you want to go see a movie or spend some time, is that when you do it Monday, Tuesdays?
Oh, absolutely.
That's your Friday.
During the day, man. I mean, that's the beauty of working at night like I do is I have all day to kill. I do a bit on stage about I got 23 hours and 15 minutes to kill every single day. I work 45 minutes a night. Unless I do a theater show, then you're doing a 90-minute show. But still, like I could sleep in every day, unless I got to get up in the morning to do radio or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice not having an alarm clock to wake up to every day. You just kind of wake up on your own.
Yeah, but I'm an early riser, though, too. So I'm an old entertainer. So I like to get up in the morning, get my breakfast in me, go get a workout in.
Yeah, you don't want to waste your day.
No, I don't want to waste my day. My father was like, see the whole day. Get up and breathe before people start yarning and burping and farting. That's fresh air. The freshest air is like between 4:30 and 7:30.
Oh, I like that.
That's fresh air.
First one out of the sack. Yeah, you're going to be breathing fresh air.
Right.
Until all those smelly bastards in the house wake up.
Walk in front of your fart. You'll never smell it. That's what my dad was hilarious.
We've all been pretty lucky then. What I have here, I mean, we've been really lucky. You got to go way back when. I got a series of insane jobs that actually used to exist. I mean, so, we served a few drinks, we made some burgers, we had to entertain drooling 5-year-olds at Camp Snoopy. Josh had to make some sandwiches. I had to, spin around on the Zamboni. These were some jobs from way back when that actually used to exist. There used to be jobs for every little damn thing, and a lot of it very disgusting and disturbing. So we're going way, way back here. Tell me how you deal with some of these gigs, if this is what your day-to-day activities involved. Well, and speaking of bars, lamplighter. Is the lamplighter still a...
the lamplighter.
Didn't we used to call it the limp lifter?
Yep. I got my dad's softball jersey from the 70s with a lamplighter on the front of it.
He used to play ball, and that was one of the sponsors?
Yep, that was their sponsor. It's embroidered. It's probably my most cherished item of clothing.
Isn't that a topless joint?
It is, yes.
All right.
Good for your
It's
dad.
ironic.
So, forget about with all due respect to the bar, we're not talking about the bar, but the actual occupation of being a lamplighter. Had to light, obviously, the lamps and also extinguish them in the morning. This job was considered to be prestigious and was, this is nice, and often passed down from father to son. Back in the day, before electricity, you could just sign up for that gig. Knocker-uppers.
Hello.
Does that mean what I think it means?
The Nick Cannon joke.
Cool job.
Antonio Cromartie. There are others who are... no, not what you think.
Nick Cannon?
Right. Before alarm clocks, there were knocker-uppers. They carried a big, long stick and would wake... we're talking way back when, like I said. And they would wake up their client by knocking on their bedroom window with the big, long stick.
All right, that'd be a pretty cool job, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, aside from having to get up early, but you're right.
You got to be the first person up.
Just get this huge stick. Oh, gosh,
I wonder how many windows they broke.
Oh, good point, Wapo.
C. Willi was just talking about dealing with the household farts.
Right.
It can be a problem. There used to be a gig, hundreds of years ago, whatever the hell, where you could say, I am a flatulist, a professional farter.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. A famous example, according to the story, is Roland the Farter. And Roland the Farter, he would often perform for royal families and was paid handsomely in cash or even property.
Oh, you can get a house for farting?
I've got an uncle who could live on Lake Minnetonka. If that's the case.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. You could. I mean, it probably wasn't the nicest house back in 1652, whenever the hell this comes from, but you could be paid in. Well, people are texting in here to the program saying the lamplighter is gone.
Yeah, it looks like it's permanently closed.
That's too bad.
All right.
Yesterday was National Fart Day, by the way. It's not a federal holiday. Surprisingly, I don't know why they haven't
think you get a day off of that.
Oh, well, can't we claim that that's why we took yesterday off?
Yeah, if you want to.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Absolutely hammered.
On 93X.
Yeah, here's the deal. It's the Half-Assed Morning Show with C Willi Myles, and we're getting ready to roll. But we've been talking back and forth about insane jobs that used to exist from many, many years ago. Strange that you could make a living like this, but it sure makes us feel lucky, at least it makes me feel lucky, to be living in a more sophisticated time. Some of these go way back to C Willi Myles. I guess this might have been the the groundwork for morning radio, maybe, or maybe that kind of similar to stand-up comedy back in the day. Maybe we would have made good lectors. You could have been a lector, or lector, I guess. You would stand on a platform on the workhouse floor and loudly read news or literature to keep the workers entertained. I bet that individual might need a Sucrets now and again or something. You know what I mean? Might.
I'm imagining, there's not a microphone available.
No, you're just hollering your over loud machinery. Right. You would need some Robitussin or something along those lines. The workers did enjoy the lector's work, so much so that if the bosses ever fired the lector, the group of workers would band together to pool some cash to hire a new one. So I guess that, might be the beginning days of morning radio or stand-up comedy. C. Willi Myles, how do you think you do as a gong farmer? I'll tell you what it is before you answer. I think it's only fair if I tell you what that means.
I need more context.
This is not good. It's not good. I would not have to have signed up to be the neighborhood gong farmer. Now, before modern plumbing, they say people would just cut a deuce into a cesspit.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do good at it.
And after a time, C. Willi Myles, that cesspit would need emptying. Gong came from a word that means going. And a gong farmer had to collect the people's goings and then take it to the farmers in a cart so it could be used as fertilizer.
No, that is...
First of all, that's labor, and I couldn't do it. Physical labor.
Wapple, if it was 1701, you would have been in big trouble.
Oh, boy.
Because they say small boys were often given... Small boys were often given this job at a young age. Oh, they spent their whole lives as gong farmer. They had to jump down into the pit.
Whoa.
Ooh.
And collect the turds, dude.
Oh, my God.
I mean, maybe it wouldn't be so bad in, like, the winter. Everything's frozen, but middle of summer,
it'd be harder to get the turds out of the cesspit.
You got a damn ice pick. You're stabbing at it.
Don't be lazy.
Yeah, and then you got frozen turds going at your face.
There's some shards.
Yeah. Chopping at it.
Yeah,
yes.
Some shrapnel.
Oh, my God.
Well, there was the ice cutter. Before ice was easily accessible, just to pick up at your corner store, an ice cutter would go, oh my God, would go out onto frozen bodies of water and collect ice. Oh, a lot of them never made it back off the end.
Of course they didn't.
A lot of them never made it back.
You cut it all the way around you.
And then, imagine being the first guy that made that mistake. Whoops.
We're going way back, like Little House on the Prairie type days. You know, that you'd bring your horse and a cart out onto the ice. You'd cut a big flipping chunk of ice, put it on the cart, cart is the word. Put it on the cart, haul it into town. And they say a lot of ice cutters and their horses did not make it back off the...
Not the horse. Of
course
They're right. Of course, can't we feel bad for a human being just once?
No, man. No. That horse didn't have a choice.
Exactly.
That horse probably welcomed that death.
Probably.
True. I used to get really worked.
If I got to go back into town one more time, that horse was thinking.
What are we doing, John? All the nice.
Again with the turds. I mean, a lot of this is turd related, and it's just terrible. Josh, you could have landed the job. Like I'm picturing, what's that program you like so much with the swords and the kings and the queens?
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. Josh, you could have been the groom of the stool, they called it.
Groom of the stool.
It's just awful.
Catchy title, though.
It is.
I agree.
It's a prominent sounding. You would assist the king with his royal bowel movements.
Oh.
You would help the king undress before he had to unleash a coiler. You would help him undress, and you'd have to wipe him.
Oh no!
Yeah,
royal wiper
to wipeth thine hiney.
Yes. Sometimes you would monitor the king's diet and report it is how you say it to the royal doctors. Okay.
He had corn.
And this was sought after. It was a sought after gig as you're side by side with the king. There were vomit collectors. All right, listen to this. Back in Roman times, wealthy people bragged. See if I have this right. Wealthy people would eat to excess. That was part of showing how wealthy they were. They would just eat. And that's where the vomit collectors come in. They had to hold receptacles, buckets, under the rich folks for when they had to splash.
That sounds awful. I've never ate enough to ever vomit from overeating. That sounds horrific.
I've come close.
Really?
Yeah.
We knew a guy once, didn't he eat cheesecake until he puked?
Yeah, he ate an entire cheesecake.
So the rich folks would eat themselves sideways, and surely they were going to vomit at one point or another. There needed to be someone there to catch it so it wouldn't dirty up the floors and whatnot.
Just shows how lazy we are today, man. Those are good jobs. Now you just get on Delta, they give you a bag.
Everybody complains nowadays. Yeah. That was the gist back then, right? If you were overweight, that meant you had some money.
Mm-hmm. Now it's the other way around.
What do you think about this? To be a leech collector.
Oh.
Nope.
Leeches, as you know, were used to suck blood from sick people. So the leech collectors were often poor people, and commonly it says here women's, who waded into ponds and bogs and marshes to attract the leeches. So you come up out of the pond, you're covered in the pond. I'm having a real tough time here at the end of the day. You'd come up out of the pond, covered in leeches, and then you sell them to the doctors who would use them for sick people.
That's a huge no for me. I absolutely hate leeches. I don't use them to go fishing. I don't care how many times people tell me they're so good for fishing. I'm not touching one.
You don't like the part where they kind of suck on your thumbnail before you...
I had a buddy that liked messing with him too and trying to get him to attach to his hand before he put him on the well,
that's what you do on the hook.
Hook there, yeah.
No. They get them to get... They sit still when they start to suck on your thumbnail there, and then you... I always thought that was kind of a way that he and I bond a little bit before he
put that hook in his back and threw him in the water for bait.
Catches me a walleye.
He's a part of you now.
We're pretty lucky.
Were friends.
Yeah, that's what he's. We're pretty lucky when you read about some of that stuff. Right. And C Willi Myles, again, tell folks about your upcoming gigs.
Thursday night, I'm up at Spring Lake Park at the theater. What's it called? Live on 65.
Ooh.
That's where I'm at.
Sure.
And then Friday, I'm down at the Paradise Center for the Arts in Faribault, one of my favorite theaters to perform. And then down at the Opera House in Fairmont, Minnesota. So if you know people, tell them C Willi's coming in.
Right on.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for coming in.
Always a pleasure to be here with you guys, man. Love it. You guys are hilarious.
Real Simpsons Jesus text to say happy birthday to his beautiful wife, Becky. Happy 34th to Tony from his big brother, box truck rapper Jesus. And happy birthday to Don't Be a Bitch Jesus from Book Nerd Jesus.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Standard Heating is having their 94-year celebration. They have special offers just for you this February. Whether you need a new furnace or a tune-up, they have something special for everyone. Visit standardheating.com to save today.